What's up, and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey, episode number 156, presented by the Barroom Network. It is the home of the soon-to-be Stanley Cup playoffs. My name is Vinny Parisi, and I am a diehard Washington Capitals fan, always have been, always will be. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller. He hates every single team that's involved in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Frank? What's up, dude?
Off to a better start this week. We're live on all platforms.
Love that. It's been a week since that. Wow.
Yeah.
Woo! Time goes by quickly.
You know what I saw today in the car that was really funny?
What's that?
A septic tank with a poop emoji on the back of it. That was really funny. That was really funny.
That is funny. That is very, very funny. Hey, those exist for a reason. Everybody poops.
Everybody poops.
Everybody poops. Frank, I have not come into a show chomping at the bit to talk puck more than I have on this show in a very long time. Do you concur?
It's going to be a great show. Yeah.
It's going to be a great show, and it's because of this great hockey life that we live. I mean,
Mango checking
Tommy Mango. I don't know if anybody knows this. They are in my phone as Tom Mangos and Paula Mangos. I'm not even kidding.
Mangoes or mango?
Mangos. I'm weird.
Not really.
But like to add the S, like no, it's got to be plural mangoes. I want just one.
You want a whole bundle?
Yeah, 100%. Frank, let's get into the pucks and pitchforks in period number 1. Why do you want to play college hockey? Isn't it obvious? For the girls. Frank, I love college hockey. This has been, so I shared on Facebook. I saw a memory on Facebook. 10 years ago, I posted about my favorite college hockey team, North Dakota, defeating Quinnipiac in the national championship. So my college watching days, they go back that far, not quite as intensely as they have been for the last 2 seasons, but they go back about that far. And I've been hooked for a very long time now, and I think it was the greatest college hockey season I've ever witnessed. Maybe it's just from a biased point of view because of just how much fun I had, even though I was kind of in my own little corner observing it by myself, like, and with talking about it with you on the show. I just loved every minute of it, and boy, did we have ourselves a conclusion over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know if you wanted me to say anything.
No, it's okay. We started with the semis. And that was obviously Boston University versus Denver.
Yeah.
And then Boston College versus Michigan. Frank, what did you take away from those 2 games?
Well, the Denver game, obviously an upset there because I thought Boston University was going to get it done. 2-1 in overtime, Denver upsets Boston University. 3rd straight game that Denver won 2-1, so that's kind of strange if you think about it. Great, solid performance by their defense and Matt Davis. And when the game goes to OT, you got to be prepared for anything that can happen. And ultimately, Denver got it done. Slots a spot in the national championship thanks to a goal by Tristan Braz. And there they were. That was the scene was set. And on the other side of the puck, you got Boston College, who dominated Michigan 4-0. No surprise there, right? Boston College is the best team on paper from head to toe. They had 4 of the top 6 scorers in college hockey. Their offense and the Great Wall of Fowler seemed unbeatable, and it was a great performance by Boston College. And the stage was set. We were going to have Denver versus Boston College in the national championship.
If Fowler ever makes it to the NHL and he's Detroit's goaltender, I believe it's Detroit, right? Is he going to be your favorite goalie or like amongst them?
I wouldn't say my favorite goalie. That's tough because
Well, you've been an advocate of his for a long time. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, but
Montreal. It's Montreal.
I don't have like a special place in my heart for Jacob Fowler, like Kochetkov. I'd say my favorite goalie right now is Kochetkov.
Okay.
I got a special place in my heart for him for some reason. I don't know. There's just something that leads me to him. And you just can't these bonds just come naturally. You just can't go out and fish for them, right? They just got maybe that'll grow. That the Great Wall of Fowler will grow and it'll blossom in my heart maybe one day. But as of right now, I mean, I like the guy. Absolutely. But I think there's something brewing for Matt Davis now.
Okay, we'll get to Matt Davis in just a second, but I can't wait till Fowler makes his NHL debut with the Habs and he gets a shutout in his first career start. Frankie's going to show up on Bardown the next day and he's going to go, "The Great Wall of Fowler!
Yeah.
I told you when it was the World Juniors that he should be starting. No doubt, Fowler, he's been my boy ever since the beginning." I'm like, "Frank, you said you didn't claim him for..." "I don't care. He's my favorite goalie in the NHL."
That might happen.
That's happening. I
I'm not
firmly
going to
think
deny it. I'm
if
not
he's
going
sick,
to.
he's going to be amongst your favorites
Oh
in the
yeah, I mean
NHL.
probably. I mean he's got great potential from what
And
we've seen.
you were on his case when we were doing the World Juniors.
Oh yeah. I don't know who the backup was for BC, but you had to start Fowler. It was just clear as day. Both are good, but if I got to choose out of the two, I'm going to back up Jacob Fowler.
100%. And you can argue, I don't think you can argue. I think it's pretty close to a stone cold fact. Jacob Fowler was the best goaltender in college hockey this season. If they had a Vezina trophy for college hockey, he would have won it. However, he was outdueled in the postseason by Matt Davis. There is no doubt about it. That game, the national championship between, we could get back to BU and Michigan a little bit because there are some things about them I want to touch on, but we got to the Natty and it was Fowler and the Eagles versus Matt Davis and the Denver Pioneers. Matt Davis didn't give up more than 2 goals the entire tournament. I believe. Oh, yeah, you're holding it up. It's 3 total goals. So it is remarkable what he was able to do. It's no surprise that he did win tournament MVP. He was the best goalie in college hockey in the time where it mattered most. And Fowler was good, too. He only gave up 2. I bet Fowler's record this year when giving up 2 or less is undefeated. I would have to look that up, but I would guess he's undefeated in games he gave up 2 or fewer.
Probably because Boston College's offense was so great.
They're like the 6th team ever to have 4 top 10 picks in the NHL on their Gauthier was 5th. Perreault, Smith, and Leonard were all in the top 10. So, it's one of the most talented college hockey teams of all time. I do want to share a story with you about the coach of Denver after you kind of give me your opinion on what I was talking about the last couple minutes, though, with Denver, Matt Davis, and all that.
Well, I watched nearly every minute of the national championship. Yep. It was a defensive treat, that's for sure. I don't even think Boston College really played terrible. It was just like Matt Davis looked like a Hall of Fame goaltender out there. The one save he made on Leonard with the net completely wide open had me out of my seat. I thought it was tied. Or I don't know if they were up 2-0 at that point or if it was 1-0, but I thought they were finally going to get on the board there. And I don't remember if it was on the power play. It
was on the power play.
That's another thing. Denver didn't take a lot of penalties, and Boston College kind of thrives in those situations. And when they were on the power play, I'm like, well, now I could see why they thrive because they're just peppering, but they stayed to it. Matt Davis didn't give up a goal, and there's really nothing Boston College could have done to beat Matt Davis that night. The puck looked like a beach ball the entire night. It was impossible to score on him. Now, did Boston College play at the highest level that they played in the tournament? Probably not. They were held to a lot less shots than they're used to. But that's because we got to give props to Denver, I think. Their defense and goaltending is just, they played immaculate through the entire tournament. They actually only gave up 3 goals in the entire tournament, Vin, and they only gave up a max of 1 per game. They won 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-0. They never scored more than 2 goals, and they never gave up more than 1 goal in the entire tournament. It was 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-0. So how do you beat a team that does crazy statistics like that, especially against the highest scoring team in college hockey.
I agree. They have a game and they stuck to it. They remind me of Quinnipiac. This is the second year in a row where a team loaded with NHL talent got beat in the national championship by a team that doesn't have anybody currently selected in the first round. Now, there is a guy on Denver who we're going to touch on. He's slowly becoming my favorite draft prospect outside of Celebrini, which we'll get to him in a minute, too. Denver, last year Quinnipiac beat Michigan. You're thinking Michigan. They got Fantilli and Luke Hughes and Seamus Casey and, all these unreal NHL players. And, Quinnipiac beat them. None of those guys were – some of those guys were signed as undrafted free agents this year. Colin Graff, the other kid that went to the Leafs. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but, the Leafs got one of them. The Sharks, obviously. So – sometimes I think that might help me pick my bracket next year. The teams that do it a little bit differently with a different philosophy usually end up winning, it seems like. And a Denver's coach, Carl, went on Spittin' Chicklets. And he told a story about how they purposely don't necessarily always just bring in top 10 picks. Their goal is to win national championships at Denver. They want the right players, not the best players. And they know that if you get a guy in the first round, he's often gone after 1 year. Where if you get second through seventh rounders, who are all really good at the college level, they end up staying for 2 to 3 years. Well, in 2 years, you might have a roster loaded with seniors. And normally that can outweigh, if you get good goaltending and all your players play to their potential, sometimes that can outweigh a top-heavy lineup like Boston College, who have, but all their best players are freshmen, except for Gauthier. All their best players were freshmen. And a little less experience, that does matter, no matter how good you are. And that's the recipe that Denver goes for. And you know what? It's working for him. That's 2 titles in 3 years. I remember when Troy Terry was at Denver. He was sick. Will Butcher was obviously unreal. Now they got this kid, Frank. I think there's a chance a team might consider him second overall.
I know who you're going to say.
This Zeev Buyum. His older brother's on the team, too. I didn't realize he's a second-round pick by Detroit. He'll probably play in the NHL and be a pretty good player as well. But Buyum might be a superstar. And if you look at any mock drafts right now, he's in the bottom half of the top 10. Mm-hmm. So anywhere from 5 to 10. Let me tell you something about that little black and red team that I cheer for. If Calgary and I think the Kraken win their last game, the Devils will drop to the 8th best odds to win the lottery. Obviously, winning the lottery and getting Macklin Celebrini would be like a dream come. That's what I would root for first and foremost. But if they stay at 6 or 7 or 8 and they have a chance at this Zeev Buyum, I would run to the podium to get him, because I would consider him second overall if I were, say, the Blackhawks or the Sharks or Columbus, whatever one of these teams ends up with the second overall pick. Mm-hmm. I would consider Zeev Buyum. What he did in this tournament, they did not give up a goal when he was on the ice. They gave up 3 goals. He was on the ice for 0 of them. He played over 40 minutes in the game that went to overtime, and he was close to 30 a night in every other game. This is one of those guys who, when he gets to the NHL, he's just going to be a dog and put on the black and red. You have no idea. Honestly, Frank, if you need a defenseman, and I think there's an argument to be made for him. This is going to sound crazy. This is going to sound wackadoo. But, if you're the Oilers and you were picking first overall, you can argue they could use Buyum more than Celebrini. I would take Celebrini first because the scrutiny that would come from not taking him, I don't think outweighs not taking him, Celebrini. It's not quite like Bedard, but it's close. And I think the world of when I'm watching Denver play in this natty, I'm like, this guy, the game-winning goal scored by the Wild prospect. I got his name right here. Rieger Lorenz. He's a wild prospect. He set up Jared Wright for the first goal of the game, and then Zeev Boyum set him up for the second goal, the insurance goal. And my God, was it a play where he just joined the rush, hit the brakes, and friggin' made a pass. And it was a nice shot by Lorenz, no doubt. But the play that he made was just unreal. I mean, you have to have some thoughts on Zeev Boyum.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. And Artem Levshinov from Michigan State. He's the top defensive prospect in this year's draft, but you could argue that Zeev is the better one of the two, to be honest with you. Like you said, like if you're looking for a D-man, I think there will be teams that would pass up on Levshinov and take Buem, right? And it's just because of how well he played for Denver and just the whole national championship. And I said something last week that I meant dearly from the bottom of my heart about Denver, and I'm sure you don't remember what it was. I said that Denver is just like Quinnipiac, that you can never count them out come March and April. And for the reason that they just got their 10th national championship, the most ever by a college for college hockey. I mean, there's no secret of why they do that for all the reasons you stated, the way they're run, and they don't need to go out and get first rounders. And it's like they got hot at the right time, and Buem got hot at the right time. They ended their year on a 9-game winning streak. They went into the tournament on a 5-game winning streak. So Buem, he's going to be fantastic. I would say you argue on taking him first if you're looking for a defenseman. Not over Celebrini. I'm saying the first defenseman taken, you could argue taking him.
If he falls to the Devils, I will throw a party. Like I'm picturing a world where Dougie Hamilton, Luke Hughes, Simone Nemitz, Seamus Casey, and Zeev Boyum are all on the same team. And you have Hughes, Heischer, Meyer, and Brad up front. Oh my God, the core that could. Oh my goodness, I'd go back to Denver for one more year if I were him. I'm always a proponent of going back. If I were Celebrini, only one team in the bottom 5. Obviously, if like Calgary or the Kraken or the Devils won the lottery, I'd come pro because those are all teams that I could help make it to the playoffs. But like if any of the bottom 5 teams besides one, I would go back to school if I were Celebrini. That one is the Blackhawks. If the Blackhawks won the draft lottery, I'm coming to the NHL to play with Bedard.
And Nazar, dude.
But like if Will Smith doesn't go back to San Jose this year and he goes back to BC and you're Celebrini and San Jose wins the lottery, I'd be like, I'm going back to college for another year. And then who knows, maybe they get, because San Jose I think is going to be terrible again next year. They might even be really bad the year after. I'm going for Bedard's cousin. I just had his name in my head. Mackenzie something.
Yeah.
Mackenzie something. Gavin.
It's not Mackenzie. It's Gavin McKenna, right?
Gavin McKenna.
Right? That sounds
right. It is Gavin McKenna. Gavin McKenna. He'll be the number 1 pick. He's already unreal. Gavin McKenna right now might be better than any player on the Sharks, except for maybe like William Eklund, who I had a draft crush on a couple years ago. He's a good player. But I mean, it's crazy to think like how beneficial it could be to go back to college for another year. I hope Celebrini may. I don't know what you think of the freshman line at Boston College with those guys possibly going back. The one that's most NHL ready is probably Leonard, but I think the one with the highest ceiling is Will Smith, and all of them could go to the NHL, but there's unfinished business at Boston College. You could go try and win another natty next year. And the kid who's supposed to go number 1 overall next year, because McKenna's 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
The kid who's supposed to go first overall next year is already committed to BC. So that team might be like sick again. Gautier's gone. He's going to make his NHL debut with the Ducks tonight. But I mean, what an all-time fun college hockey season this has been.
Yeah, I mean, it really has. And BC could get back there again, depending on who decides to return. Cole Eiserman, he's committed to BU, right?
BU, yep. Yep, he'll play at
For
least one
sure.
season. Yeah, he's going to BU. And that's
Yeah,
another reason.
I thought.
If you're Celebrini and the Blackhawks aren't the lottery winners or any of the close to playoff teams, you know what I mean, to go back to BU. You know, you'll have Yzerman there next year. Um, Celebrini's brother is still there. Like, there's no reason to like rush things. Because another thing people don't realize, Frank, hockey players don't work out that much during the winter, during the season. Like, I'm sure they hit the gym. I know they hit the gym here and there, but like it's not about getting stronger. It's more about like keeping your muscles like up. I do know hockey players lose about 20 pounds throughout the season because all the games that they play burn a lot of calories and they're not working out to like build that muscle. Like their muscle percentage like goes down during the
Hmm.
season.
That makes sense.
And that's something in college that doesn't happen because you only play on the weekends and they hit the gym hard during the week. And that I think that's more important when you're 18, 19, 20 years old sometimes, unless you're like really, really good, like the Hughes brothers, like Nemitz, like Bedard. I think there's benefits to being able to work out more often. So I don't know. It's going to be fun to see how that goes. We've already seen a couple guys sign in the NHL. I touched on Gauthier. He's going to make his
I think
NHL
tomorrow,
debut. Is it
right?
tomorrow that the Ducks play?
I think it's tomorrow, Thursday. Yeah.
Okay, Thursday, whatever the Ducks' next game is. Um, but then it's going to be um, we had Gavin Brindley make his NHL debut yesterday. And we saw Lane Hudson make his NHL debut. Some absolute studs. Is there anybody you're excited to keep watching in the NHL? You're excited for Gauthier?
Uh,
Seamus Casey, we don't know about him. The Devils are done. But, there are a couple other guys who still
Frank
may
Nazar
sign.
was sick.
Oh, how can I even forget to touch on Frank
First
Nazar?
shot of his career goes in.
Yeah.
Nice snipe on the breakaway too.
And
What a
Frank,
beauty.
what did I tell you? I freaking told you that no non-NHL Blackhawks prospect did better for themselves this season than Frank Nazar. He had a better year than like even Oliver Moore.
Hmm.
Like he had the best season of a non-NHL Blackhawk prospect. I'm not including Korchinski or Vlasic or
Right.
Bedard, guys who didn't play in the league. Sick.
How about also Jackson Blake, Hobie Baker Award finalist,
Yep.
and he made his debut with the Hurricanes. Like with all the Hurricanes sitting their starters because they're locked in, it gave way for him and Bradley Nadeau. He also made his debut with the Carolina Hurricanes. They're cooking over there because they already got a fantastic team, and Jackson Blake is phenomenal. At least he was in college. I mean, we'll see how that translates to the NHL, but I mean, that was pretty cool to watch too. I mean, neither did anything in their debut, but it's cool to see these guys come up and play.
I would have bet my life that Jackson Blake was the headlining piece going back to Pittsburgh in the Jake Gensel trade, and they escaped without trading him. Jackson Blake, I'd let him play in the playoffs over certain guys.
Are you
You're-
allowed to do that? Yeah, right.
yeah. If you're drafted, like the team had your rights.
Yeah,
So like if the Sharks were a playoff team, Graf wouldn't have been able to play for them
gotcha,
in the playoffs.
gotcha.
But like if you're like Luke Hughes played for the Devils against Carolina. He didn't play against the Rangers, but
Right.
he played against Carolina. The Carolina Hurricanes, if they end up playing the Rangers, you might not need them in the first round against the Islanders, but if they play the Rangers in the second round, maybe even Washington too. Whoever they play in the second round, you might want a guy like Jackson Blake in a series like that, and having him as a depth piece going into a series where guys are in and out on the third, fourth line, whatever. He's sick. Macklin Celebrini won the award, and we talk about him all the time. He was the best player in college hockey as a freshman, so that's 2 years in a row, fifth all time that a freshman won. Adam Fantilli won it last year, obviously. It just a remarkable year for him, and seeing Jackson Blake nominated and now in the NHL is really, really cool.
That is very cool. And also Macklin Celebrini, youngest to win the award. I'm excited to see who gets him. I simmed once on the 2024 NHL mock draft, and the Blackhawks got him.
Love
I just
that.
hit it once, and it was like, all right, the Hawks got
Are
him.
you on Tankathon?
Yeah,
Yep, I use Tankathon too. I hit it a couple times. There was one day I hit it till the Devils got it.
I was gonna say you probably hit it till the Devils got it.
Wouldn't that be something? I mean, wherever Celebrini goes, I'm excited. I felt the same way about Bedard last year, but Celebrini played college hockey. You know, I wasn't able to get around to too many Regina Pats games. It wasn't until they were in the playoffs, the WHL playoffs, that I was able to like see them on NHL Network and whatnot.
Yeah,
But then they got eliminated so early. They were out before you knew it, the Regina Pats last year. It wasn't like watching the Seattle Thunderbirds. We
right.
were watching them till the end, basically, when Kevin
Yep.
Korchinski and company made it all the way to the Memorial Cup, and that was
Mhm.
really cool. But we'll see what happens in the Memorial Cup this year. I'm actually very excited now that college hockey is going to get going. That I look towards that as like my secondary hockey viewing. But I mean, with all these prospects and how they impact your team, I think it makes being an NHL fan more fun to
Yeah.
follow these leagues because, like, oh, who's this Gautier kid? Well, Frank and I have been watching Gautier for the last 2 years now. We knew all about the Flyers drama and all that. And did you hear what he said before the national championship game?
Gautier?
Yeah.
I thought you told me last week, but I don't remember what you said.
Before the game started, so like they were getting off the bus in
Yeah.
their suits, he said, "There's going to be tears on the other side after the game. I'm going to at least score a couple of goals." Well,
And
yeah,
then you
Cutter.
didn't.
Yeah, Cutter. Your team was shut out, and there were some tears on the other side. Tears of joy because they just won the national championship.
I thought you told me that because that sounds familiar. Or maybe you told me it when I saw you this past weekend.
Yeah. That probably is it. I
Yeah.
mean, he's I've shit on him a lot, but he's like a good villain. He is a good villain. Amazon's going to announce that they're going to follow around 10 players next year.
Mhm.
I don't know if you heard that, but
I did not.
it's going to happen. It's going to, like quarterback on,
Yeah.
but it's going to like go through the whole season. And
Is he gonna do it all?
Amazon's going to announce it soon. Listen, if they do like the elite players, but they're boring as shit, I'm going to be annoyed. I don't want them to do Cale Makar or Connor McDavid. I don't care about seeing McDavid like eat lunch with no smile on his face. Connor Bedard, even dry as hell. Love Connor. Love Connor. He's one of the best players in the world, and he's 18 years old. I honestly think he's a top 20 player right now.
Could be.
But he is boring as an ice cube. There's nothing fun about him. All he cares about, I honestly think he's just sitting there right now, wherever he is in the world, probably Los Angeles or California, because they play the Kings.
Hmm.
He's probably just sitting there right now thinking about like his next kale salad with quinoa. Like, I wholeheartedly think Bedard is like a cyborg. He
Okay.
just is a robot that was generated. It's wonderful. He's going to help Chicago. He might be the number one star. Caleb Williams will be more popular because it's football, but like Bedard will be right there as the number one sports star in the city of Chicago, one of the four meccas of sports entertainment in the country. And he is just boring as shit. I do not want to see him on the Amazon thing. I stand by it. I would say the same thing. There's one devil I'd want to see, Jack Hughes. He throws out quotes all the time. We're on a heater right now, or he'll tell the media they're annoying, or he's kind of a d hole. Him and Luke go back and forth like, oh, what do you think of Luke's first 3 assist game? Sick. Let me know when he gets 4 or something like that. He was, a guy like that. Nico Hischier, that would be boring as hell. And he's my favorite player in the NHL right now. But he'd be boring as hell. I want guys like Gautier, someone who's going to, talk shit. I don't need, and with Troy Terry or with Gautier, you might get like some personality from Troy Terry or Zegras along the way by them being close to him. But unless Zegras is traded, which is very possible. But I mean, I like Gautier. I just think he has some loser qualities that I hope don't come to fruition.
He's definitely a one of a kind type of athlete.
He sure is. All right, Frank. Let's get into things. We have a lot to discuss going on in the NHL right now in period number 2. Period 2, Frank. Austin Matthews has 69 goals.
Yep. He does have 69 goals. Is that nice, VP?
Nice.
I mean, he's got one last chance to score 70, and it comes tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I will assume he's confirmed to be playing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, there's no way you could sit him in this situation. I think he gets 70. I really do. When you're hungry to make this type of history, you break out every trick in the book to try and get it done. If he successfully completes this feat, it'll be the first time since Solani and Mogilny in 1992-1993 to score 70 or more goals. Writing's on the wall. I don't see him not doing it. I just don't. Well, I'll just leave it at that. I just don't see him doing it. I have a feeling like who's going to start for Vasilevsky's not going to start, so it would be Johansson, or who's the other guy? Isn't there another guy they used instead of Johansson? I know Joey picked him up in
fantasy. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on his name though.
Whoever starts, he might give him a shoulder or something. Like open the top shelf a little bit. Oh, we could have had that one. I don't know. Just the writing's on the wall. I think he gets it done.
I think he gets it done too. I don't think any goalie would want to be the guy that's the highlight for the rest
Something
of the time.
You tell your kids, like, listen, Austin Matthews got his 70th against me.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I just absolutely don't. Nope.
It's all right.
Nope. I trying to figure out who's going to be in goal for them, but yeah, I think Matthews is going to do it too. I thought he was going to do it yesterday, to be honest with you, but he did not. He put the goal on the goal line twice. One time was a wraparound, and it was swept away from the Florida defender. And there was one time he beat, was it Bobrovsky or I forget who it was in net, but he beat them clean, and the puck not clean. It bounced off the goalie and trickled through, and then that was stopped before reaching the goal line too. So it kind of sat there. So Matthews, he really had a couple chances to get goal number 70. I hope he gets it tonight, and if he gets it tonight, he will be my vote for the Hart Trophy.
I agree.
I think I might vote for him anyway now, because I think he has had that much of an impact on his team. I wrote down McDavid has 100 assists, Kucherov ? Listen, I stand by everything that I said about Connor McDavid's 100 assists. It is, he collected it. For those who don't know, he collected his 100 assist on Zach Hyman's 55th goal of the season a couple nights ago, when they just gave the San Jose Sharks an absolute drubbing, 9-2. But, Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, Mario Lemieux. Those are the three greatest players ever in the eyes of a lot of people. And McDavid did something that only those three did. But then here comes Nikita Kucherov, who has 99 assists himself, and they play against the Maple Leafs tonight. Frank, I will say that Kucherov getting the 100 assists is equally as impressive as McDavid because of who did it before him. It will be equally as impressive. I'm not taking anything away from Nikita Kucherov. I don't want to have the North American bias or anything like that. Nikita Kucherov is just as impactful. I do think having two guys do it in the same season takes away from each other the Hart Trophy. But I would vote Kucherov second.
Let me touch on McDavid. And I want to elaborate more on 100 assists. I don't think it's a topic we should blow over too quickly. Like you said, he's the fourth player ever to do it in NHL history. It's pretty special to accomplish something that only 4 players have now ever done, no matter what the feat is. To be up there with the likes of Gretzky, Lemieux, or that's truly remarkable. And I will admit, McDavid was cutting things a little bit close. He missed 3 straight games due to injury, and you kind of had the feeling he would like he was gonna do it when he would play next, which I think that was his first game back from injury, and he did it. Of course, it came against a team like the San Jose Sharks. Like, what a dumpster fire that team's been all year. It's hard to imagine a team being worse from what I've seen from the Blackhawks all year, but the Sharks are just awful. And what's even crazier to me is it took till the 9th goal scored in the game for him to get the assist. Like, if the Sharks weren't as bad as they've been to let up 9 goals, McDavid more than likely would not have gotten the assist that night. Like, I mean, if you tell me that the Oilers scored 8 goals and McDavid didn't assist on one of them, I'd be dumbfounded. Which that was
No, he scored 2 of them though, or one of them.
but you'd assume there's an assist thrown somewhere of the
Yep.
8, but he didn't. But nonetheless, on the 9th goal, it's just another box he checks off his Hall of Fame resume. Now, Nikita Kucherov, we'll touch on Nikita Kucherov a little bit. He's going to win the Art Ross, right?
Yep.
142 points, one final game to go. I'm going to assume he sits tonight. There's really no reason for him to play. I don't know why.
To get the 100th assist.
How many does he have?
99.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't hear you say that.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, like it kind of takes away from McDavid. It doesn't take away from McDavid doing it, but Matthews' 70 goals outweighs McDavid's 100 assists because somebody else also did it this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I would vote Kucherov second in MVP if he gets the 100th assist.
I would too, yeah.
Because he has the 100th. Everything I said about McDavid, but now give him the Art Ross trophy as well. That's right. Kucherov. That is Nikita Kucherov, one of the best offensive players in the NHL.
To say it's been an incredible season for Kucherov would be an understatement.
So good.
Like, he leads Braden Point by 53 points for the Tampa Bay Lightning lead.
Yeah.
Like, he completely shattered his career high in points by 14, which is crazy to say. His career high was 128 and he shattered that. That's crazy to think about. This is his 4th season of reaching 100 points. Some players struggle to get to 100 points, and then when they get there, they struggle to do it a second time. So I got to be honest, I don't think enough people give Nikita Kucherov enough credit. He's only been in the NHL 10 years. Stamkos is getting up there in age. And the current record holder for Lightning in terms of points is Steven Stamkos with 1,134. When the careers are all said and over with, that record may belong to Nikita Kucherov. The points aren't what they used to be for Stamkos. The goals are still there. The points aren't what they used to be. I mean, we're talking about Nikita Kucherov like getting 60 or 70 points extra per season. He'll catch Stamkos in no time. He might even take over Stamkos for the most goals if Stamkos slows down a little bit. He got 40-goal season this year, so that's going to be hard to catch for the foreseeable future as of now. But Stamkos sits at 555 goals, and Nikita Kucherov is only like 200 and something behind. And we still got a good portion of Kucherov's career left for the Tampa Bay Lightning, I would assume. So, yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree. I'd give Austin Matthews probably the MVP, but Kucherov would be second.
He would, and that's if he gets the 100th assist. But also, maybe not. I'm starting to think, regardless of what happens tonight with the assists and the goals, my ballot would be Matthews, Kucherov, McKinnon, McDavid.
Wow.
It's just how I'm seeing it right now. It's crazy. And then I would vote Sid. Now that the Penguins didn't make the playoffs, I might vote Panarin and Pasternak over Sid. But I would have to really do some deep thinking on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, those top 4 guys have just been marvelous. And like I said, McDavid had an all-time great playmaking season. Like, it's going to go down as one of the best playmaking seasons ever. But so is Kucherov.
That's the only thing.
I'm not taking away from either of them because someone else did it, because they're still only the 4th and 5th players to ever do it. And it'll probably be years before someone does it again.
That's true.
Not named them. If they did it again next year, I wouldn't be surprised. But like, who else in the league could you see next season having 100 assists?
That's
I think
too hard to predict.
The Nate Dogg shoots too much. Jack Hughes shoots too much. Who else are the top players in the league? Panarin shoots too much this year. Pasternak shoots way too much. Matthews shoots too much. I just don't think too much. You should always shoot. But I'm saying to have 100 assists. I just don't really see anybody in the league. Bedard will have a lot of years with heavy goal totals, which will make his assist, you know, totals elite still, I think, but maybe not 100.
And that's tough. It's hard to predict, you know?
When you have 100 assists, you're like well over assist per game.
Oh, yeah.
So like, which is crazy because being point per game is celebrated in the NHL. It's just wild, man, what these guys have done this season.
Yeah.
These top four.
That's crazy that two players in the same season could have 100 assists.
Yeah.
He
I wonder
probably gets it too.
tonight.
Yeah.
I think he gets it.
We could
Tampa
have
will get a power play, right? Like, and Kucherov will collect an assist or
we
something.
could have two history making moments in one game.
That's what's cool about this game tonight. I'm sure TNT's so happy they have it. So
Oh, they did that for a reason. Probably.
I mean, I figured it would probably have been scheduled for a long time, though, that this would be the Wednesday night hockey game. Like, this probably been in the books for a good minute, and it just lined up that.
There's not many other games I'd rather see.
Yeah, well,
they
100%.
probably looked at it and was like, "We got to make that the game."
Yeah,
right. Like, I don't know.
for sure. All right, Frank, it is time. We have to predict the playoffs because we're not going to have a show before the first round starts. The first round starts Saturday. And, here we are. We will see how we predict here. We'll start with the Eastern Conference because those are all locked. The West are pretty much locked, in my opinion. Like, I think they're going to stay as what they are right now. So we'll see. But we're going to do them last because there's an asterisk in case, that's not what they end up being. But I do think that is going to be what they end up being. So we'll start in the East, Frank. The President's Trophy winning New York Rangers are going to take on the last team to clinch a postseason berth in the NHL, the Washington Capitals. What do you think is going to happen?
I'm going with the Capitals. It's funny that you said before the show when you're like, everybody's going to be on the Rangers. Well, yeah, you're right. Everybody is going to be on the Rangers. But I think one of the biggest upsets of the first round is going to happen here. I know everyone and their mother are going to have the Rangers winning this series. But I just have a bad feeling about this matchup for them. We don't know how many more playoff series we're going to have with Alex Ovechkin. But he's going to be hungry, I think, to give his team that extra push. I just have a weird feeling there's really nothing like obviously the Rangers have been so great in the regular season this year. I really have nothing else to go by. I never really liked how the Rangers have played in the postseason. And there's nothing to me that says that's going to change. I have no evidence of that changing. But maybe this year will be different, but I'm going to go with my gut and I'm going to choose the Capitals.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yep.
I am also going to take the Washington Capitals.
Oof.
The Washington Capitals to beat the Fugazis. The New York Rangers. New. You stink, President's Trophy. Nobody wants that President's Trophy. The President's Trophy is a curse. Panarin doesn't play well in the playoffs. Shesterkin showed last year that he could be the best goalie in the world in the playoffs, and it doesn't matter. The Washington Capitals are going to show up hungry. They're the worst goal differential team to ever make the playoffs in the history of the NHL. None of that matters. The Washington Capitals have been proving people wrong all season long. I have the Caps in 6.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to go 7, and I don't think they're going to win in 5, so 6 is perfect.
But I do think people forget sometimes when they pick an upset in 7, they forget that the game 7 will favor the non-upset team in terms of home ice. If the game went back to Madison Square Garden for game 7, I would probably flip-flop and think the Rangers may win that
You
game.
can't flip-flop. You got to stick with them.
I would stick with them, but Well, I don't know. I would think Washington would need to get it done in that sixth game at home. That's why I'm predicting them to win in 6. So go Caps, go. I'm not
I
picking the
think it,
Rangers. What do I
I
look
think
like, dude? I'm not picking no Rangers. Get out of here with this
Caps and 6 is
Rangers
fair.
garbage.
Caps and 6 is fair.
Hate the freaking Rangers. Do not want them to win. Okay, Frank. So we both picked the Caps. That's stunning. Let's go with the other series from the Metropolitan Division. How about the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New York Islanders? Oh,
I
is this your glue series?
Nope.
Oh,
Because I think it's going to be a very, very close series. But I got the Hurricanes winning the series. I also think this series will be the most defensive series of the entire first round. The Islanders could definitely pull off an upset here. But I think in the end, this overall Carolina Hurricanes team that has played so well this year is going to get it done. The Islanders are hot right now, though. I think they've won 8 of their last 10. They're sizzling. They're hot at the right moment. I think this series is going to be a lot closer than people think, but I do think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to get this done in 5. But I think every one of those 5 games is going to be close. Maybe 3 or 4 out of those 5 are going to be 1-goal games, I think.
what do you think I'm going to pick for this series?
I think you're also going to go with the Hurricanes.
And how many?
7.
I think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to sweep the New York Islanders.
Wow.
They might be. I might pick them to win the East.
No credit
No credit.
to the Islanders.
The best team in the league, or one of the best teams in the league, added the best player at the trade deadline.
It's
And
true.
he's been sick for them. And Kuznetsov. And they have the best defense in the NHL. Nobody talks about Slavin. It really bugs me. But, like, my God, Brady Shea. They're just so good from top to bottom with Svechnikov. Teravainen's having a good year. Aho's one of the best players in the NHL. They have 2 good goaltenders. I think the world of the Carolina Hurricanes, and I think the Islanders are kind of trash. They tied the Devils in wins on the last game of the season. One team made the playoffs, one team came in 7th. It's not that good of a team. I'm not in love with the Islanders
I just
going into the playoffs.
refuse to choose a team to sweep, usually ever,
I know.
unless it's a very rare circumstance.
Yeah, I have. I maybe I just do it so I can insult the team I'm picking against because that's kind of feels like what I'm doing. I think the Islanders stink.
That's fair.
I think they're like the 7th best team in the Metro, but they're the OT merchants.
Do you agree with me that it's going to be very defensive?
Yes, it was last year.
Yeah. I think we're going to see shades of that again.
Absolutely. Moving over to the Atlantic Division, you will have the Atlantic winning Florida Panthers taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. I was like, why can't I think like it's an easy one? It's the Battle of Florida. And I was literally earlier today dreaming about the 2 Atlantic Division series in the playoffs this year. Probably the 2 best matchups, maybe 2 of the 3 best matchups in the playoffs first round, I think. I mean, there are so many good ones. But Florida, the Battle of Florida, Tampa Bay Lightning versus Florida Panthers. What do you got in that one?
I went back and forth on this one. This was tough.
It's tough.
Because on one hand, you got Florida the better team overall.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I never want to go against Tampa Bay in the playoffs. The Lightnings are one of those teams like Quinnipiac and Denver. You get there, they're so hard to beat. And when Vasilevsky's back is against the wall, he's just nearly unbeatable. It's just so hard to pick against the Lightning. But I'm going with the Florida Panthers to win this series. I think they get it done in 7. Every time I seem to doubt the Panthers, they just proven otherwise this year. And the Lightning has never really impressed me, really at any point throughout the season. There's nothing about them this year that made me go, wow, they look great or they did that. It's the complete opposite. When I've watched the Florida Panthers play this year, it's like, I think Florida's going to lose this game. Nope, they're up 3-0 early. They're dominating. It's just, to me, these 2 teams have gone in opposite directions this year. I know how great the Lightning could be in the playoffs. They're titans of the playoffs. They've went to the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row. But I'm going to take the Panthers in this one to get it done in 7.
I am also picking the Florida Panthers in 7. I think they get it done. Tampa's going to make it very difficult. Both teams have a top goalie, a number 1 defenseman, and a solid 2-way centerman at the top of the lineup. But when I look at the depth on Tampa Bay versus the depth on Florida, when I look at Tampa, I go, okay, they got Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point as their big 3 up front. Brandon Hagel's probably the number 4 option on the team. Very good player. Then I think about the Panthers, and I'm like, they just seem to go a little bit deeper with Barkov and Verhaeghe and Reinhart and Lindell. There's freaking Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett. I just think the ceiling on Kucherov and Stamkos might be a tad bit higher offensively than some of the guys on the Panthers. But like Barkov, he could get 0 points in the series, but he could still be the most impactful player. Matthew Tkachuk's one of the best offensive players in the NHL, and he had a down first half. But, he's been pretty much looking like his last year self in the second half of this year. So, Verhaeghe clutches you could possibly imagine. They haven't even had Ekblad most of the season, again, injury, but Montour logs a bunch of minutes. He's probably their number 1 anyway, to the point where Ekblad might even be let go this offseason. Bobrovsky's sick in net usually. So, I mean, I really like what Florida's done, and I like their roster from top to bottom, probably as much as anyone in the NHL right now.
Yeah, I mean, they really impressed me this year. I doubted them. They've really impressed me. I will admit.
100%. 100%. Then, Frank, we get to the series that we always debate each and every year, no matter what. But it's a little bit different this year because of their opponent, a team near and dear to the podcast, obviously. You have the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Boston Bruins. Frank, I have been waiting all day for this moment. I thought about it when I woke up this morning at 6 a.m. Thought about it while I was driving. I'm thinking about it right now. Who do you have in the series between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I'm skeptical on both sides here, right? On one hand, you got the Bruins, who I don't know if I trust Montgomery alternating goalies every other game. It's just got to be done. That's what's worked for you for 82 games, and that's what you just got to do in the playoffs no matter what. You just got to drop everything you do, and you got to stick with your own patterns that's worked for you, right? Also, the Bruins power play lately has been horrendous. And I told you the other day, I think the Bruins are going to probably lose in the first round, because I don't know how you become a successful playoff team without scoring power play goals. You can't go 1 for your last 25, right? It's just, to me, that's where I am with the Bruins. And on the other hand, I struggle with the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? Because I know they got out of the first round last year. It's just so hard to pick them come the postseason, because we've never really had them a lot of success from this organization. So I go back and forth, and I can't find myself to take the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm taking the Boston Bruins to get it done in 6.
Wow. Part of me doesn't believe you actually think that, but then part of me actually does think you do. I am also going to pick the Boston Bruins to win in the first round against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't like that Sheldon Keefe called Austin Matthews going for 70 a distraction. Like, what kind of fucking idiot are you? What do you mean Austin Matthews going for 70 goals is a distraction? Scoring goals helps your team win, right? Like that's a good thing when your guys score goals. It's not like they're pushing for something meaning, like Austin Matthews scoring goals at the rate that he does is one of the reasons that the Toronto Maple Leafs are one of the best teams in the NHL. So like if you want Matthews to like do this thing where he stops scoring the goals, because then your team sucks probably. Because outside of Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, I'll add Bertuzzi and Domi to the mix. The depth on Toronto isn't what it probably has been in other years. They rely a lot on their top six, especially Pablo. And I know Nylander's going to break 100 points too if he gets a point tonight. And Marner has been a 100-point guy multiple times in his career. Tavares has been in Hart Trophy conversations in his heyday. Good leader now. Yeah, what a more. I just hated when I heard that. I was like, what do you mean that Matthews going for 70 goals is a distraction? He's the GOAT. They call him the GOAT, the greatest Leaf of all time. Like, it's not even a competition what he means to your organization, and you're calling him getting set. He probably wishes he could take it back, but like I think it's a terrible thing for him to say. Like for the Leafs to try and be getting home ice this whole time, like Austin Matthews scoring every game is a big reason they win. If you take away his 70 goals or 69 goals at this point, they play tonight. It's going to be one of the best games of the season, I think. It'll be the most exciting, meaningless game of all time, probably. But, like, why wouldn't you want that? It makes no sense.
Would you care to chime in on Joey Parisi's comment?
Bruins in 4. I'm so confident, he says. Yeah, of course he's that confident. That's one thing I think Bruins fans, when they play against the Maple Leafs, they think it's just an automatic bag because it has been the greatest. I wholeheartedly think from the bottom of my heart I am going to make it to my grave without watching a better Game 7 than the one we witnessed between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins in 2013. That was the greatest hockey game I've ever watched. And it's been 11 years since that moment. The Bruins haven't lost to the Leafs in the playoffs since, and they really kind of dominate them most of the time in the regular season. So I know the Leafs have had a couple, forced the Bruins to have a couple clinkers in the regular season. But for the most part, it's been Boston dominated, even when the Leafs had better rosters. If the Leafs never win the cup in the Austin Matthews era, the Bruins will be a big reason why, I would say.
Yep.
I got the Bruins in 7. I think they're going to go back to TD Garden in Game 7 and win. I don't think it's going to be a reflection of the way the top guys on the Maple Leafs play. I think it'll be more of a reflection on how resilient the Bruins have been, basically since the day Bergeron and Krejci announced their retirement. Coyle and Zacha have been good top line centers. They have 2 of the 5 best goalies, or 2 of the 10 best goalies in the NHL. Their defense is loaded. I mean, when you go down the list with McAvoy and Grzelcyk and Carlo, Shattenkirk contributes offense here and there. Like it's Stanley Cup. Shattenkirk never won the cup. I don't think Shattenkirk ever won the cup, but he's been part of some deep playoff runs.
Did he not
with the Blues? No,
he was already gone.
He was way already gone. I think.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. When the Blues won the cup, it was Pietrangelo and Parayko.
That's what I'm thinking of. Pietrangelo.
Pietrangelo's a 2-time. That's going to be the quietest Hall of Famer of all time. Pietrangelo will be. He'll be. Yeah. By the time it's all said and done. But I think if he retired today, he'd be in the Hall of Fame, Pietrangelo. But yeah, Shattenkirk was on some real good teams in his day, deep playoff runs. I remember the year he was traded to Washington. They made it to the second round, lost to Pittsburgh, who ended up winning the cup. Mostly crap with the Rangers. Then the Ducks, now the Bruins. But I mean, their D is awesome. And you know what? The Leafs get good goaltending, and then they'll get crap goaltending, and then they'll get good goaltending, and then they'll get crap goaltending.
Yep.
I really love Riley as a defenseman. Liljegren, good player, second power play unit. Their second power play unit as a whole is fair. Their top unit is, a bunch of dogs, some of the highest paid players in the NHL. But I ultimately got the Bruins taking it.
we agreed on every series.
Do you know that video that pops up on Twitter every now and again? It was this kid who took a video of his teacher walking in the classroom every single day, and he
No,
just put it on loop, and it's the same guy. The only thing that's different is his shirt changes, and he
no.
goes, "Hello, hello, hello, hello," and then he walks in and says hello. It seems like for the last 10 years, seeing the Leafs, Lightning, Bruins, and Panthers all show up for the first round, playing one of each other every single year for the last handful of years, is that teacher going, hello, hello, hello. And just every spring for the last 10 years, we've seen some combination of the Bruins, Panthers, Lightning, and Maple Leafs. The Metro's all over the place. It's Pittsburgh. It's Washington. The Devils made it and won a round last year. Philly's been in the Cup final. Pittsburgh won 2 cups. Washington won the Cup. Carolina's one of the best teams in the league. Well, one of them's going to come in last next year. We saw Columbus beat the Lightning.
Yep.
And then it took the Bruins to, the Metro, all 8 of those teams. That's why you can never really be that confident with the Metro. The Devils were supposed to be a cup team then, and they stunk. The Islanders, back-to-back Game 7s in the conference finals. I named every team in the Metro making it to at least the second round in the last 5 years. Where the freaking Atlantic, it's just the Bruins, Lightning, Panthers, and Maple Leafs. Hello, hello, hello. Where's the Habs? Where are the Habs been? They made it to the Cup. Oh, but that was the COVID year when they were in that weird Canadian division. Where are the Red Wings? They've been gone for how many? Basically since Datsuk retired. The Buffalo Sabres, the longest postseason drought in the NHL. Ottawa, they haven't been good since 2017. Who am I missing in the Atlantic, Frank? I feel like I'm missing one more. Either way, they're irrelevant because it's just those same 4 teams at the top winning every year, no matter what. It's honestly hilarious.
Missing someone.
Ottawa, Montreal, Buffalo, Detroit. No, that's all of them. That's all of them.
Oh yeah, I guess because then the other 4, that's 8. Yeah. Ottawa, Montreal, Buffalo. Yeah, that's 8. You got them.
But it's always the same top 4, no matter.
It is. Just a different order. Same.
That's what sometimes they have different opponents, but the Bruins played the Panthers last year. The Lightning played the Leafs. Then they played each other in the second round.
Yeah.
We see the Bruins. When they went to the Cup, they had to get through Tampa Bay. They got to get through the Leafs. It's just every year, no matter what.
Yep.
It's so funny. It'd be interesting if, it were Toronto versus Florida in the second round, right? Or if it were, that did happen last year. What if the Lightning played the Leafs? No. We've seen there's literally nothing that would be new.
That would be revenge time.
For who?
You
would pick the Lightning?
Yeah, that's revenge time.
See, I think
the Leafs beat them.
I don't know. I almost said I think the winner of this series wins the next, but I don't know about that. Florida could beat either of them. I think all 4 of them could be in the conference finals.
Yeah,
I would bet my life the Carolina Hurricanes are in the conference finals.
You think so?
Yeah. I honestly do think the Rangers are the Fugazis.
I've been saying that for the whole year.
Yeah, Panarin dries up in the playoffs every year. He even did it with the Hawks.
Dry up.
The Rangers, Shesterkin doesn't, but that didn't matter last year against the Devils.
They're dry.
They're the Fugazis. We've been saying it since October.
They're just, if you can't win a cup with Lundqvist, it's going to be tough. I feel bad for Lundqvist.
Yeah, so do I. Well, no, I don't. I actually think I got Carolina as my Eastern Conference champion right now.
Well, spoilers. We're just doing everything? We're just going to...
I didn't even think we were going to get that far. We were just going to do each series as they go. All right, Frank, of all these teams that we just talked about, we discussed them all pretty in depth. Who do you think wins the East? And you have the right to change as we progress through the playoffs. When we make our picks for the second round, if your team is still alive that you
I
say right now, I'm
I'd
going
have
to go,
I'd have to agree with you.
oh,
I think I'd have to agree with you.
okay. So after we make our picks for the second round, if the Hurricanes are still alive, I'm going to go Frank. You sticking with your Hurricanes pick out of the East? You have the right to change. We'll see if you do. If they're eliminated, you'll have no choice but to change. If the Islanders pull a rabbit out of Kyle Palmieri's hat, 29 goals for the man.
That's
I'm
not bad.
happy. I'm
That's not
happy
bad.
for Kyle. Kyle Palmieri during some of the shittiest Devil years was just so fun. He was a spider monkey. That's what I used to call him. He was just all over. Bruins' revenge on Florida is poetry, according to JP.
That is a revenge series. That is a revenge series. I don't like to take teams to win against the same team back to back years. It's tough. It's tough. You learn from your mistakes. You watch some video and you clean it up. It could be.
The Atlantic teams, they worry me like taking each other out. I think Carolina could legitimately sweep their way to the conference finals. Not literally, but like 5 games each series, 6 games each series.
I just want to see how Jim Montgomery handles this Bruins team in the postseason.
Well, Jim Montgomery just watched his Denver Pioneers win the national championship, so he better be a little motivated to help the Bruins get ready to do that too.
We'll find out within the first couple. We'll find out by the next show.
What do you mean?
If he alternates game 1 and game 2.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Even if they win game 1 with Allmark or something. Or whoever starts game 1.
Joey said he doesn't care. Joey said he doesn't care if Allmark gets a shutout in game 1.
Exactly.
He wants Swayman in the second game.
I agree. You got to keep it going. You just got to do it.
Absolutely. All right, Frank. I think it's time we take things to the Wild Wild West.
I'm excited.
Wild Wild West, son. I do believe that what we see as we wake up today, the Eastern Conference is locked, for those of you who don't know. What you see in the Eastern Conference is what you will get in the postseason. The Western Conference, not so much. Nothing is clinched outside of 2 series. We know for an undoubted fact that... Hold on, actually. Am I wrong?
The West is not clinched.
No, but there's at least 1 series that is.
Yeah. There might be 2. I know the Jets and Avalanche are clinched, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's the only one.
And yeah, you're right. That is the only one.
All right.
Yeah, that's the only. No, isn't Vancouver and Nashville? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's clinched. Because I'm pretty sure the Kings can only jump up into that division spot.
The only reason I don't...
They don't have the tiebreak over Nashville.
But I think either Vancouver or Dallas could win the West. So we don't know for sure who Nashville's playing. I think Vancouver has the tiebreaker over Dallas. So if Vancouver wins game 82 and Dallas loses it, Vancouver would play Nashville.
Yeah. It's only one, yep.
Because I'm looking, I looked on the legend,
and
there is a Z that goes to the conference champion.
Yeah.
There's no Z awarded yet.
Yeah.
So Nashville could play Dallas or Vancouver. I wouldn't want to play either. But I know who I would prefer if I had to pick one. But I do think it's going to end up locked the way it is. I do. So we're going to assume that this is the way it is. Obviously, we're putting an asterisk next to every series but one. Frank, we'll start with that possible series between the Dallas Stars and the Los Angeles Kings.
This is the series I think you're on glue with. I think Dallas wins this series in 5, blows LA right out of the water. I think Los Angeles is the worst of all 16 teams in the playoffs. ever since we called Dallas inconsistent, they've been one of the most consistent teams in the NHL. I love that going into the postseason. I love the momentum they have going into the postseason. I don't see a world where Los Angeles comes out of this victorious. I think there's a chance for a sweep. I don't choose sweeps too often, though, so I say they win in 5. But things could get ugly for Los Angeles. I really believe that.
I agree. Up until yesterday, they were scheduled to play as the third team in the Pacific, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I also think the Dallas Stars are going to win this series with relative ease over the Los Angeles Kings. I will go 5 games as well.
That's why I said I didn't think you would choose the other team. I'd be surprised if anybody takes the Los Angeles Kings.
Well, if you look at Dallas, they have 3 first lines, right? They have 3 waves of players that can get it done for them. They have the old guard with guys like Ben, Sagan, Pavelski. They have the mid guard with guys like Rupe Hintz, Jason Robertson, Miro Heiskanen, Jake Ottinger. Then they have the newer guard with guys like Stankoven and Wyatt Johnston. That's
Great.
a third line?
Yeah, fantastic.
Colorado's second line. Colorado's an elite team. Like what they've done with drafting in the last handful of years, second to none in the NHL. And they have a veteran like Ryan Suter. I like their defense. This Lundqvist plays a lot of games for them. Ottinger is one of the best goalies in the NHL when he's on his game. Yeah, I like Dallas. I like Dallas a lot.
Good.
Also, you have the only series that is locked up between the Winnipeg Jets, or as we like to call them, the Jinnipeg Wets, against the Colorado Avalanche.
Hard series for me. Oh man, this is tough. It's tough to go against the Lanch, but I'm going to do it. I really just the way what I've seen the last quarter of the season from the Colorado Avalanche, I haven't loved what I saw. Like they've just been so disappointing. They're lost 7 out of their last 10 with 1 game to go going into the playoffs. I hate that. The Jets, they're quite the opposite, and they're going to have the soon-to-be Vezina winning goaltender on their team. I do think that the Avalanche, if you look at odds to win the series, I think they should be the favorite, even though they're technically the lower seed. I would say, like in my head, they're the favorite to win the series, and I think they have the better talent to possess that of winning the series. And I will be pulling for the Avalanche, but just something tells me the Jets squeak this one out and defeat Colorado and shut up all the naysayers. That hurts. That hurts me to do that because I like the Avalanche, but I think the Jets get it done.
I have gone back and forth on this for 2 days. I've thought about it while using the bathroom. I've thought about it while taking a shower. I'm not even kidding.
Mm-hmm.
I am stumped.
It's tough. It's one of the hardest to choose.
I think it's the hardest. It's Tampa, Florida is a little. It's close. I chose biasly with Boston. I don't know what I would think if I were a neutral fan. I want the Bruins to win whenever they play, unless it's against the Devils. I think so. I was all about the Lanch, right? They have Zach Parise. Yep. I want the Lanch to win. If I got to choose who won the cup, I would pick the Lanch. Only this year because of I want ZP's name on the cup. But then I think Winnipeg's a better team. They have Scheifele and Ehlers and Hellebuck, the future Vezina Trophy winner, multi-time Vezina Trophy winning. He will become.
Yep.
And they're just studs all over. They traded for Toffoli. He's fit right in. He's over 30 goals. Kyle Connor's probably their best overall player. Their defense is solid. And then I'm like, but the Avalanche have the Nate Dogg. He's going to be a top 4 Hart Trophy vote getter.
Yes, he
may win. They have Cale Makar. arguably the greatest defenseman of this era, maybe who ever lived. He'll be in the conversation by the time it's all said and done. He's already won the Conn Smythe Trophy. He's the only player in NHL history to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, the Hobie Baker, the Stanley Cup, and was it World Junior Gold?
Yep.
He is a stud. And I know that if I pick the Jets right now and the Lanch win, I'm going to say, you idiot.
Yep, that's how I feel.
You dummy. You picked against the Avalanche? They're the betting odds on DraftKings and FanDuel and
I don't even know what they are.
Rivers. I'm pretty sure they're like fourth best out of everyone.
It's not surprising they got the experience.
But then I'm like, they never truly replaced Kadri. He was their second line center en route to the cup. Middlestats fit in nicely as their second line center, but he doesn't have the snarl, the playoff snarl that Kadri has. He's, he might prove everyone wrong with his scoring in the playoffs. It really wouldn't be proving me wrong. I think he's a great scorer. But like, it's nice to have that second line FU center. And they just haven't had that since Kadri left to go to Calgary. What a mistake that was on everyone's part. On everyone's part, including Kadri. He probably wishes he was back with the Lanch.
I don't know why you'd want to go to Calgary.
At that stage.
Yeah, I mean,
7 years ago, I would have loved to go to Calgary.
Yeah, but they need a rebuild.
Yeah, but when they had Kachuk freshly coming in and Goudreau, I would have loved to play for Calgary. But now, no, dumb. And they have even beyond Makar, Taves is unbelievable. He's one of the best defensemen in the NHL. Gerard is real good. And then I think of Winnipeg's depth and it outduels Colorado's. If Colorado traded every player on their team to Winnipeg for every player on their team, people would pick the Avalanche. They like that jersey more, that franchise more. There are biases for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets have like this weird stinky stigma about them. Of all the Canadian teams, they're the black sheep of all the Canadian teams. Nobody wants to play in Winnipeg. Okay, they just got Scheifele and Hellebuck to sign 8-year deals. Like, people want to play in anywhere they feel they can win. This is my longest I've ever tried to like push it off. I feel like I'm just eating a Snickers, trying to buy some time to say who I think is going to win. I am going to pick the Winnipeg Wets to win the series in 6 games. Oh, and another thing. When the Avalanche win, I'm just going to say, I know. I'm an idiot. Because that year, Frankie said, the Avalanche are the greatest team. They're better than an NHL team.
Oh, yeah.
They're one of the best sporting teams I've ever seen.
And they just steamrolled.
Tom Brady in his prime weren't as good at football as the Patriots or as the Avalanche are at hockey right now.
They were so good.
They went 1-5-0 in their final 6 games that season.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned it on in the playoffs. So I don't want to hear anything about how they're limping into the I don't care about that.
Oh, it matters.
I do not care about that. Not with
you
them. Not with them. Not with them.
You got it.
They literally, they've proven to you.
It's an anomaly. It happens once.
But they've done it.
Right.
They have that under their belt. Other teams, the Jets, the Capitals, they don't have that under their belt.
It could happen.
The Avalanche do. I'm picking the Jets, but that nonsense about their last 5 games when all the Nate Dogg cares about was getting enough points to possibly win the Art Ross. And they had a 3-0 lead against Vegas. Oh, that's another thing. I don't like Georgiev right now. I think he's a good goalie overall, but he's just been lame-o lately. He just doesn't look confident. He has terrible body language. I'm taking the Jets.
They
Winnipeg Wets.
Limping in.
They are. But they've done it before.
They came out of a bar fight, and they're just slugging. One leg limping. Just, oh.
The only team I've seen win the cup limping into the playoffs is Colorado. They have the benefit of the doubt from me in that department.
to do it 2 in a row, though, that's tough. It's like winning the lottery is tough enough, but if it happens, you expect to do it again?
Well, yes, agreed. I also I don't think they just haven't been as the same since losing to Seattle in Game 7. Like, they made the playoffs. They were one of the best teams in the West again, but I don't know. They just don't seem to have that, like, that dominant feeling. And as good as Nate McKinnon has been, as good as Rantanen has been, I don't know, dude. I'm taking the Jets, though. I got the Jets.
Cool. I like it.
We're agreeing a little too much for my liking, though.
6 for 6.
Now I know. Are we 6 for 6 on agreeing?
Yep.
Oh, I don't like that. You're always wrong. Fuck. So let's do the other series. That's not a word. The Vancouver Canucks against the Nashville Predators, Frank. That's a tough one too that I think either team could win.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the Canucks have been a treat to watch this season.
A treat?
Yeah, I don't think many people were expecting the Canucks to win the Pacific Division. Hats off to them. New ground for this Canucks team, right? A lot of young guys making the postseason for the first time. But I like what I've seen from this team this year. And I don't think the Predators should be taken too lightly. They had a tremendous second half of the regular season. I do think this series is going to be close. I think the Canucks get it done in 6.
Very interesting. Do we have our first disagreement?
You don't have the balls to choose the Predators.
I don't, eh? I don't?
I don't. I don't believe it. I don't. I really don't.
Okay. I am picking the Nashville Predators.
That's crazy.
I'm picking the Nashville Predators. The Vancouver Canucks are very good. I love Quinn Hughes, 91 points. JT Miller, the guy you called overpaid, 103 points. Brock Besser, career year. Pettersson really slowed down in the last couple weeks. That scares me. That really scares me. Once he got paid, he slowed the H down. Remember he was coming to Chicago. They got him signed up. Kind of not. I mean, he's certainly a good player, but I like what Nashville's doing right now. You talk about getting hot at the right time. Philip Forsberg, he got close to like 50 goals, and they have Saros going again. Yep. I love Andrew Brunette as a coach. Man, did the Devils F that up. Roman Josi is going to come in third place for the Norris Trophy. You can argue that the other two to win it or come in second, but Josi's going to come in third. I like their team as a whole. Evangelista, that guy's incredible. It just seems like they got rid of all the players on their team that were not helping them get to where they need to be. And now they have a guy like O'Reilly to like be a leader in a playoff run, a guy who's won the Stanley Cup, been part of multiple other deep runs. I like this Predators team. I think they get it done against Vancouver in 6.
Wow. Very interesting. Our first disagreement.
Yep. Well, I've been on Nashville for a while now because I didn't pick them to make the playoffs before the season, but right around January, February, I started to kind of flip on them a little bit, and I had a conversation with our buddy in the chat, Joey. Off air, obviously, we talked about Nashville. We were both at a point where we were picking them to beat Colorado.
They were hot, and I was kind of right there with you. I don't know.
If they were playing Colorado, I would pick them against Colorado too, and I think Colorado is better than Vancouver. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Then the other series, the last series to talk about from the Western Conference, arguably the biggest treat of them all, and arguably the hardest to pick of them all. I do believe it's going to happen because in order for it to happen, the Vegas Golden Knights need to win against the Anaheim Ducks for Cutter Gautier's NHL debut, and I believe they are going to. I just don't see a world where Vegas tries to beat the Ducks, and they don't. That game will be tomorrow, 9 o'clock local time, Central Time, for those who are looking to watch it. I certainly am. But yeah, Frank, don't know what you're gonna pick, but if it ends up being the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Edmonton Oilers, what would you pick?
Is my mic working?
Yes.
But it's coming out of the. Hold on. There we go.
Oh yeah, that sounds better. I was
Yeah.
able to hear you, but you could tell
Yeah.
the difference between your computer and the microphone.
Okay, so we're good now?
Yep.
All right. This series definitely going to be a treat. I agree with that. Right now, the Vegas Golden Knights are getting healthy. Mark Stone has been cleared to practice again. Tomas Hertl's been lethal since joining the Knights. The team is scary, and they always find ways to win. I'm going to go with the Vegas Golden Knights to win this series in 6. I know the opposition with Connor McDavid is not going to be easy, but I truly think that Vegas is a true favorite to potentially repeat as champions, especially when this team is fully healthy. And that's what we're getting at again. They're doing it again. As soon as playoff starts, here come the Golden Knights getting healthy and other players back, and they're kind of cheating the system a little bit, but it's all within the rules, and here we stand.
Same thing's about to happen to me that's going to happen to me with the Colorado series. When it's over, I'm going to say, you dummy. You straight up moron. You should have seen this coming. And like technically I'm admitting right now that I do see it coming, but I'm going to pick Edmonton. Every time a champion goes into the playoffs, and this is just me trying to learn from the past, be a student of the game, if you will.
Yep.
Every time the defending champion comes into the playoffs, they either have that feeling that they're going to steamroll through the playoffs and go back to back, like that Pittsburgh team, like Tampa once or twice. I don't feel that from the Golden Knights, but people always pick them to win the first round the following year, and it almost never happens. There was a letdown last year when Colorado played against Seattle. Right, nobody in their right mind would have picked Seattle to beat Colorado, and they did. I love this Golden Knights team. I think they will get one more cup with their core. Not with Marchessault. I think he's probably gone. He'll be a Hab next year. But, they extended Hannafin, and they have Hertl, who's locked in for a long time. Wild Bill might be the most underrated player in the NHL. That doesn't even include their top 2 players, Jack Eichel and Mark Stone. When this team is healthy, their goaltending's a little sus, I think, right now. When they're fully healthy, they're one of the best teams in the league. But with that said, it just feels different with Edmonton right now. I think they could score with anybody. They're defending pretty well. They have Bouchard and Darnell Nurse and guys on the back end who can play. Stuart Skinner's been rock solid in the second half of this season. Connor McDavid's the best player, the most talented player who ever lived. Draisaitl's over 100 points. Zach Hyman's got 55 goals. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is incredible. If Evander Kane is 80% of himself, I think he'll help. This Holloway kid, University of Wisconsin, shout out Badgers. Unreal player. Ryan McLeod's a real good depth piece for them. I'm naming a bunch of players as the reason why, but I mean players play. So I got the Oilers winning in 7, but if Vegas wins, yeah, it'll definitely be one of those like, you idiot. Like, what are you betting against Vegas and Colorado for the last 2 Stanley Cup champions, you complete moron? You think they're both going to be out in the first round? Idiot. Probably going to be the conference finals. But
You never know.
I'm going with the Oil.
2 disagreements.
I will be sad to see the loser of this series go so soon.
That's why they should change the playoff format.
Yeah, there's 2 series I feel that way about. Boston, Toronto, and Vegas, Edmonton. Every other series, I can pick a team I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
I could roll through that quickly right now. I would want Florida to beat Tampa. I would want the Bruins to beat Toronto. I would want the Islanders to beat the Hurricanes. I would want the Hurricanes to beat the Islanders. I would want Washington to beat the Rangers. In the West, I would want the Oilers to beat the Canucks. I would want Vancouver to beat Nashville. I would want Dallas to beat the Kings, and I would want Colorado to beat Winnipeg. So my wants and needs don't match.
And Don Burrow would want Detroit to beat everybody.
We didn't write it down so we could talk about it. With what an ending to a season. They got boned. They got boned.
Tough.
Like Tortorella didn't know that they got to overtime, so the Flyers were eliminated, and that means Tortorella gave the Capitals a free ticket to the postseason by pulling the goalie. Because I think if Tortorella knew they were already eliminated, he would have never pulled the goalie in regulation. And then Detroit ended up winning, and they would have had a chance at the playoffs. And it's crazy because Tortorella would have tried, and if the Flyers would have ended up winning in overtime or something, and the Wings came back and won, it's back-to-back games scoring in less than 10 seconds left to keep the game alive and keep yourself from getting mathematically eliminated. Because if they lost either of those games in regulation, they would have been mathematically eliminated. They tied it with 7 seconds, and then 3 seconds won both. It's just an unreal way, and that wasn't enough because of the Flyers pulling the goalie. If I were Detroit, I would hate John Tortorella right now just for being a complete dum-dum. But, Don Burr and his annoying-ass Detroit teams are on the rise.
Yeah, I mean, they are. We'll see what happens next year.
The Red Wings are sick. I can never figure out how to point to get. Look, I still can't.
Do you remember when you had the Rangers thing covered and it fell?
Yep, mid-show.
They were playing the Devils that night. I'm like, that's a bad sign.
Oh, and they got smoked.
They lost, yeah. We never talked about it, but.
No, I don't want to talk about them. Actually, I do. We're going to give a eulogy really quick. You're going to give a eulogy to the Chicago Blackhawks. They have one more game, but lay it all out there.
All right. Well, VP, this season for the Chicago Blackhawks has been tough to watch. They had a terrible season with really no chance at any point of making the postseason. They've been shut out 13 times this year, which could be closing in on a franchise record. But even through the pain, there's been light, VP. It's been a blessing to see Connor Bedard make his NHL debut. It's been a blessing to see what the kid has done this entire rookie season. I've seen tons of young guys on this team morph into better versions of themselves over the course of the regular season. Vlasic, Korchinski, etc. I've seen Frank Nazar score his first NHL goal in his first NHL game on his first NHL shot. So there's been a lot of pain this year, but you have to go through pain if you want to heal. And I've gone through a lot of pain this year. But I know the process is self-working, and I'm already seeing light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. I know there's still a lot of work to be done, but I wouldn't want to stand by any other team in the NHL, no matter how bad they were this season. I will always be there with them. We will get through this together. And now it's time to close the doors on the 2023-2024 NHL regular season. But I'm so excited to see what is to come in the future for next season and what that has in store. We have another year of Bedard greatness to look forward to. We have another year of this team building chemistry together. I can't wait to see what a full season of Frank Nazar does. We have a Winter Classic to look forward to. There's a lot to look forward to, even though things looked grim for most of the year. The team wants to win. And the Central better be prepared for what's to come over the next 3 years or so. The Blackhawks may have been one of the worst teams in the NHL this year, but they gave even some of the best teams in the NHL this year hard times. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's to come. The Central Division could have their fun for now, but this team will be back sooner rather than later to take what's rightfully theirs. So on that note, VP, I'll see you at the 2024 NHL Draft at the Sphere in Las Vegas on June 28th.
Very exciting. Good work, Frank. That was a nice eulogy. I looked it up for you. The Chicago Blackhawks actually hold the record for the most times being shut out in an NHL season.
Is it 16?
No. In 1928-29, the team went 7, 29, and 8, 44 games played, and they were shut out 20 times.
That's rough. That's rough.
In the modern era, meaning the last 30 years or so. The Columbus Blue Jackets were shut out
16?
16 times in
That's what I'm
06,
thinking of.
07.
That's what I'm thinking of.
The Blackhawks in their 12 times being shut out this season ranks 18th.
That's what I. Yeah,
But
that's what.
there are like 7 teams tied with them, and getting to 14 would jump them all the way to tied for 5th with like 7 other teams.
It's crazy.
So maybe the Los Angeles
Listen,
Kings will shut them out
the Hawks
on
are coming. The
Thursday.
Central could have their fun right now. I've seen glimmers of hope this season. They beat Dallas. They look great against Dallas. We're talking about top teams. They've really just given them a hard time, and not every game. I mean, they've got blown out their fair share and got shut out, obviously, like we said. But I've really liked what I've seen. It wasn't San Jose Sharks bad. There were really not a ton of Sharks games where I felt like they gave other teams tough times as much as the Hawks did. So I like what I saw based on the performance of what we got from them. So we'll be back next year better than ever. I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. Where the light, you could see it down. If you look straight down at the end of the tunnel, you could see the little light shining in. We're almost there.
Wrote an article for Chicago Hockey Now that went up this morning. I believe if Mrazek plays next year the way he did this year, they could be a bubble team.
I hope so. We're
Because
getting there. I
Taylor
don't know.
Hall will be back.
I don't know the status of Oliver Moore either. I assume he goes back to Minnesota. That's
If
just
I
my
were
assumption.
him, I would.
That's just my assumption. If he doesn't, and he comes to the Hawks, and let's say the Hawks won the draft lottery again, we're literally cooking with fish grease.
I think Oliver Moore would admit he could have had a better year.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything to like write home about.
I'd like to see him come out next year on this Minnesota team that's going to be sick and run it back and try to be like a Hobie Baker type guy.
When does he have to decide when he's going back?
He's going back.
But when does he have to make the official announcement?
I don't think he has to at all.
There's just at no point.
Until you sign with your NHL team, it's assumed you're going back.
Well, wouldn't you just want to, like, if you won the draft lottery again, like, come and play, like, with 2 first-round draft picks? Number 1 pick?
I would not, because I think coming to the NHL would be a disaster for Oliver Moore right now, actually. Because the last thing you want is for him to have 10 points by Christmas and then send him to the A. You don't want him to become Reichel. Now, if Reichel turns into what McLeod was for the Devils, I think that's a huge win for the Hawks. Like a huge win. If he's a great third line center that can score 10 to 15 goals a season and have 35 to 55 points, win tons of faceoffs, be hard to play against, I think that's a win for the Hawks. I don't think you want that from Oliver Moore. I think you'd love for him to be like a speedy winger at even strength to possibly play with Bedard or with Nazar, and just use his speed. I worry about stunt. He's the kind of player whose growth I'd be more worried about than anything. I would not sign him right now if I were them. If I were Kyle, I wouldn't want him right now. Even if he tried to come out of college hockey, I would be like, "You sure you want to do that? Because you're playing for Rockford next year if you do."
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not down on Oliver Moore. I have him as their number 2 prospect right now, behind Nazar. But because I graduated Korchinski, if I was just doing U23 players, I would probably rank him like 4th or 5th, behind Bedard, Korchinski, Vlasic, and Nazar. Maybe I would have to do some more deep thinking on it, but like he's up there for sure. He was a freshman this year, and he was taken 18th instead of 4th, like a Will Smith. There's a huge discrepancy there. But next year, man, it wouldn't shock me if, as a sophomore at Minnesota, playing bigger minutes, wouldn't shock me at all if he was one of the best players in the country.
Do you think he comes in 2 years?
Probably. He might start in the AHL. That happens. But Del Mastro might have jumped.
We also don't talk about Sam Renzel,
No, we do not.
which I think there's a lot of potential there as well.
There is. I like Del Mastro a
Me
lot.
too. I like him too. Yeah.
All right, I'll eulogize the Devils a little bit. What a year. What a year it was. They started against Detroit back in October, and they didn't look that good in the game, but they won. So it was like, okay, here we go. Jack Hughes had 20 points in the first 10 games, and it looked like it was just going to be off to the races. They were 7-3-3 or whatever it was. And then Hischier and Hughes both went down at the same time. They went 3-7 over a 10-game span, never really recovered from there. Vitek Vanacek was pretty lousy for the most part, yet he still had a good record. Akira Schmid was pretty lousy as well. He had a poor record. Something's got to give. Nico Dawes comes back from hip replacement. They run him into the ground again. He didn't get hurt, but like he was really good once he came back from his injury, and they just played him way too much. Goaltending and injury will ultimately be the story of this season. Hughes only played in 62 games. Because he would have played in the playoffs and down the stretch had they been in it a little more. But he had shoulder surgery on the 11th, so he's now 6 days into his recovery. He is expected to make a full recovery and be ready for training camp to open in the beginning of September. Hischier played in 71 games or 72 something. No, maybe a little more than that. Meyer missed about 10 games, but in the second half he was the best goal scorer in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
And he got pretty close to 30 after having, kind of like Ovechkin, had like 8 or 9 around Christmas. And then by the end of the year, he's like, I think he had the most goals in a month in Devils history in March. Just a magnificent run for him. Bratt, point per game player, stud, 83 points in 82 games played. He's just the definition of a consistent point per game player that also defends well. Luke Hughes was thrown into the fire. Nobody expected to see Luke Hughes have to play as many minutes per game as he did this season. A large part of that goes to Dougie Hamilton going down. Luke Hughes is also not the only 19-year-old defenseman to log a lot of minutes for the Devils. Simone Nemetz came in. He was a little bit better defensively than Hughes, but Hughes put up 45 points, something like that. He probably will be nominated for the Calder Trophy. He won't win it. Your guy Bedard will, but he'll probably come in third with all those points. I consider you to be a high-end offensive defenseman if you reach 50 points. Well, at 19, he got in the mid-40s. So I think being a real high-end defenseman offensively is absolutely in the cards for Luke Hughes. So that's a positive to think of. I didn't love the way John Marino or Jonas Siegenthaler played this season. They took big-time steps back from the way they played last year. I think people undermine, even though they're not stars, people undermine what losing veteran defensemen can do to an NHL team. Graves goes to Pittsburgh. Severson goes to Columbus. They missed both of them badly this season. I do think you have the ceiling in the Hughes brothers and Nemetz and Hischier and Bratt and Meyer. Hamilton will be back to start next season. That's obviously, you take out a top 10 defenseman in the NHL. I just hope people don't forget about him when they're making their top 10 lists next year, because Dougie Hamilton is one of the 10 best defensemen in the NHL, and he was just gone after 20 games for the rest of the season. The highlight of the year was absolutely the Stadium Series game when they took on the Philadelphia Flyers at MetLife Stadium and they won the game. Hischier scored a minute into the game and it was off from there. And you know what, Frank? Walking out of that stadium, I did it. They were 2 points out of a playoff spot at that point. So they hung with all these things going as poorly as they did this season, all the negatives that I just talked about, and they were still in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So, and let's not forget they fired Lindy Ruff not long after the Stadium Series game. So I think it was the first week in March, they fired Lindy Ruff. And from there, you realize, okay, they were in it, even though they kind of played like crap a lot. They didn't get to overtime enough. They had the same number of wins as the Islanders. It wasn't until the last game of the season that the Devils didn't have the third most wins in the Metro. But they were in 7th place. Thanks, loser point. But I do believe in this team because of what they have and the positives that come from losing. They do say losing can be the greatest teacher, or failure can be the greatest teacher. This could be one of those years where this young team thought they had it in the bag and they just didn't. They never lost more than 3 games in a row, but they never won more than 3 games in a row. They were just average in terms of wins and losses all season long. And you go into this summer, I need to see a new manager. There are a lot of candidates. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to fire Mike Sullivan, but if they did, he'd be my number one. I like Woodcroft. The speedy system that he brought to Edmonton, I think, would do wonders for Jack Hughes and the Devils. If they played like a speed north-south type game the way Edmonton did under Woodcroft, I think they'd thrive. You need another goalie. They traded for Jake Allen, but I think Jake Allen has a 1B, 35, 40 games. And then the other guy could play 42 to 48 games or 50 games. If they got a Markstrom or something, because I do believe in giving starters rest for they're fresh for the playoffs. You do that, you get the new coach, you sign a defenseman. You cannot go into next season with Hughes and Nemitz as their number 2 and 3. I don't like that. I think they need to be your second pair next year, and you find someone good, like a stalwart, to play with Nemitz. And then you can use Siegenthaler, Hamilton on the top pair, Hughes and Marino on the second pair, and then said defenseman that they sign with. Did I say Hughes with Marino on the second pair?
I thought you said him and Nemeth.
I meant Marino.
Okay.
You put Siegenthaler with Hamilton on the top pair, Hughes with Marino on the second pair, and then I would sign a veteran defenseman, whether it be Brady Shea or Slavin, both UFAs, someone like that to play with Nemitz on the third pair. You have Kevin Ball as your like rotating 7th D. He could play this game if they're playing the Rangers or someone tough. You could take out someone and put in Ball if needed, or run 11-7. I hate when they do 11-7, but it happens. And make sure the damn coach uses the players properly. Jack Hughes is a center. I never want to see him play wing ever again. Timo Meier is a right winger, not a left winger. When you put him to right wing, he scored 17 goals in the month of March.
Mm-hmm.
When he was playing left wing, he had 8 goals on Christmas. So it's just decisions like that. Oh, and there is one thing I have to touch. There's an elephant in the room. The Devils had one of the best depth centers in the NHL with McLeod. He's a bad person. He's probably going to go to prison or whatever the case may be. I think the court date is, I think it's June 20th or something like that. Like, we'll learn a lot about that over the summer. But like in terms of hockey, running Hughes, Hischier, McLeod was awesome. It's a huge reason they were so good last year. He won 60% of his faceoffs, created chaos down low. You lost that. You just lost it. Well, for nothing. That has to be figured out over the offseason. I don't know who's available. Either that or commit to Eric Halla being that guy. Because right now he plays wing with Hughes. If you commit to Halla being that spider monkey third line center, I'm cool with that. But they just haven't done it. So, and play Alexander Holtz more. Like, what are we doing? Why is he on the fourth line? Put him in Binghamton or Utica, excuse me, if you're going to do that. I don't know. That's just my Devils eulogy. A lot could go wrong, but, and Blackhawks fans can learn from this Devils team too. Would not shock me at all if there's ever a season where the Hawks surprise people, are real good, and then the following year they have a letdown before becoming a cup contender again. It happens all the time. It's happened to Tampa. Remember they missed the playoffs?
Yep.
The Bruins, they missed the playoffs that one year. They got McAvoy. I mean, it happens. It happens. So figure out what went wrong, fix it during the offseason. I gave some pretty well thought out. I'm not a GM or a coach or a player or anything like that, but I am heavily invested in the Devils, and I feel like a lot of the things I said are going to come true in terms of the things they try to address during the offseason, and return with tons of excitement going into next season because I do love the core on this team. I think it's one of the best cores they ever had. I
He'll be
mean,
back.
Jack Hughes is better than Zach Parisi, and Heischer's better than Zajac, and I think Meyer's right there with Kovalchuk in terms of goal scoring. So, like, they don't have Brodeur. That is the ultimate difference, right? Like, you figure out the goaltending, this team could end up being a lot better. I'm actually very excited for the summer. It's probably the most excited for a summer I've been in a long time as far as the Devils. Last year during the summer, I was like, we need to get to September. I cannot wait. They're so good. They're gonna repeat what they did, and then it was a letdown. This year, I'm like, they could really be good if they have a strong summer. We got to get to that summer in order for it to happen.
They'll be back.
100%. Oh, Seamus Casey too. He probably starts in Utica. Just because I said if they sign a guy, there's no room for him. It also wouldn't shock me if they trade him. I know I talk about drafting Zeev Buyum, and then you'd have Casey and Hughes and Nemitz and Buyum. If it costs Casey to trade for Saros, I would drive to Newark, pick up Casey myself, drive him to Nashville, have a drink at Tootsie's, grab Saros, bring him back to New Jersey, and then drive to Chicago to make it happen.
We can make that happen if you want.
I would love to have Saros. I would love to have Saros. That would be a dream come true. But
All right, let's make it happen.
we'll
Let me
see.
get on the phone and I'll arrange your pickup.
We shall see. What do you think of my eulogy? You agree with any of my shit? You think I'm batshit crazy and the Devils are screwed?
No, I think they're gonna rebound. I've said that for a while now. I think they're gonna rebound next year.
Okay.
Just it happens with some of the best teams.
Are you in on them being a cup contender with the core that they've built?
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
Well, besides the goaltending issues, but
Yeah, fix the goaltending issues, but
they
you
need a
like
goaltender, and then they could be contenders for the cup.
okay. I think so.
Without that,
I think so too.
they really, it's just I don't understand. We talk about this for what, the past 5 years, or just freaking they don't get a goaltender. I'm just so confused.
Well, we have talked about it, even before we started doing shows.
I just don't understand. It's just
Ever
like
since
a
Brodeur, they
broken
were so
record.
confident in Schneider, and Schneider was awesome. But then once he fell off, they like had nothing.
It's just maybe they don't see it the way we do.
I mean, Brodeur works for them, so they definitely do. He
They
not only
would have
does he
fixed.
work for them, he's quite literally the assistant GM.
You got to
If
fix
Tom
your shit.
Fitzgerald retired tomorrow, Brodeur would take over.
That's fair.
So,
But the problem is they're not listening to us.
well, hopefully they are. The Devils are going to have a big summer. I'm confident they're gonna. They haven't been shrewd under the Tom Fitzgerald regime. Did you think they'd sign Dougie Hamilton? I didn't. I was stunned. I was stunned when they were the team that landed Hamilton. They were the team that landed Meyer. Okay. They were smart enough, and this was Ray Sherrill, but they were smart enough to take Hughes over Kako. The fact that that was even a debate just really annoys me, even all these years later. The fact that they took Heischer over Patrick, which was more of a debate. Patrick's retired, and Heischer's their captain. So, like, they have done smart things. Bratt was a 6th rounder, and he's like one of the best players from that draft.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the Matthews draft. I don't know. I like a lot of the moves that they've made. They just need a coach and a goalie really badly. And then I think the third line center and an extra defenseman will fall into place naturally. So, we shall see. All right, Frank, let's move on to some other shit. Period number 3. The White Sox lost again.
Are you surprised?
No. I actually think
They had a lead in the 8th, I think, or the 7th.
they lost 4-2 to Kansas City. I think the doubleheader though, right?
Yep.
I am gonna upload $20 into my DraftKings Sportsbook account, and every single day bet $10 on them to lose. And I wholeheartedly believe I will come out of the end of the season well ahead.
Well, they
Like,
might be
well
the
ahead.
worst MLB team of all time.
They're on pace to be the worst MLB team of all time.
They're what, 2-15?
2
2
and
and
15.
14? 2 and 14 or 2 and 15? Ridiculous, VP. That's my condolences.
I mean, they can't hurt me. I saw this coming. Joe Mandel asked me on South Burp Sitman on Monday, how many wins will they get between now and our next show? I said 0.
Wow.
I just looked at the schedule and used my brain. 0.
On the brighter side, the Cubs have been a treat to watch.
The Cubs have been a treat to watch, except what the hell were they doing yesterday?
They just listen. They're fun right
How
now.
the hell does Ian Happ hit a grand slam to make it 11-8 and then they lose?
I like to think their pitching has been pretty good. Like lately, it hasn't. I like to think their bullpen's good. You're going to disagree because of what you've seen, but Keegan Thompson's been great. He didn't allow one run to Arizona in 2 extra inning games. Tell me that. That's so hard to do. And I like that it's just been a little shaky, but I think overall, over the long-term course of 162 games, I think it outweighs itself. I do. I don't think this keeps happening, right? Like, they're fun. They're not out of any game. They were down 4-1 yesterday, and they took the lead 8-5, and then they were down, or no. Yeah, 8-5, I think. And then it was 11-8, something like that. Oh no, then they went down. I don't know. Either way, they're not out of it. They're fun to watch, but it's just their pitching and their bullpen's been a little shaky, and they're also not. Their starting rotation isn't 100% healthy either. But I truly believe they could dance with the best teams in the MLB this year. They won the series, their first series against the Dodgers. They're playing the Diamondbacks tough right now. They're 2-2. This could be another series win. So, and as I said that, the Cubs just hit a homer to take the lead. So that's what I'm saying. Their offense is cooking. Seiya Suzuki has been great since last year's All-Star break. He's been unbelievable. Cody Bellinger just hit a bomb. Michael Busch hit 5 homer in 5 straight games. He almost set the record yesterday. He went deep, but just caught it before it went out of the ballpark. So things are clicking for the Cubs. I do think they will make the playoffs. I do still think they'll win the Central Division. I'm disappointed in the Mariners this year, though. The good news is the whole AL West kind of stinks and been underwhelming. Every team in that division is 500 or worse, which is great news because there's so much baseball to be played and really haven't lost any ground from being mediocre. But I've really been enjoying the baseball season so far. I know for you it's been the opposite, but it's been a lot of fun.
I've been enjoying the season as a whole, minus the White Sox completely.
Yeah.
I'll say this about the Cubs: their lineup is as good as any. Swanson's off to a slow start. Need him to get going. Bellinger, same thing, but he's cooking last night and today with the home run. This Michael Busch, I would rank him when the Bears draft Caleb Williams. I would rank Michael Busch 3rd on the Chicago's most exciting young athlete list.
Incredible.
It would go Bedard, Williams, Busch, wholeheartedly. He's been so good.
He has been.
I really like Horner. He's doing everything I would predict he would. Their starting rotation, when Justin Steele is healthy, their starting rotation is fine. Kyle Hendricks, he's cooked.
He's terrible.
It's over.
He used to be the race, and now he's like their worst pitcher.
No, yeah, it's Jover. What they need from him is to put him on like a 10-day IL stint. Say, Kyle, you're very important to our room. We're going to try and get you right a little bit. Give him another start after a 10-day stint on the IL after some mechanical work. If he fails there, it's time to designate him first. I honestly, if you're the Cubs, you have no time to waste. Their bullpen is trash. I disagree with you entirely. I think their bullpen is straight up puke. They have like 2 or 3 guys that you can, when they get the ball, rely on every single time. If I'm Jed Hoyer, I am working the phones harder than any manager in Major League Baseball to try and bring up an arm or two. The Cubs have one of the best farm systems in the MLB. There's nobody down there that can come up right now and pitch better than these bums. Adbert Alzolay, I thought he'd be a closer, like legit. He's got the talent to do so. he sucks at being a closer. When he comes in the ninth inning with a lead so far this year, he's been terrible. Throwing meatballs right down the middle to Mark. Like, what are you doing? I just can't believe how puke Jed allowed the bullpen to be again when they let it happen last year, and they were one game off of making the playoffs last year, and he did nothing to address the bullpen this offseason. Justin Steele is an ace. I think he's one of the best pitchers in the National League. But when he's hurt right now, the pitching as a whole, because they need what's the other guy? I'm drawing a blank on a name. Smiley. He can make a couple starts here and there. He's fine, but I would prefer him to be like a long reliever. Leiter, real good for them.
How about Ben Brown the other night?
Yeah, Ben Brown, he's been pretty good.
He was great.
Strikeouts, but like, I don't know. I like Assad has been disgustingly bad. Well, he's given up a lot of hits. Almonte can't stop the other team from scoring runs. Hector Neris, awful. And I thought that was a good signing for the Cubs when they first did it, but outside of Leiter, I don't know. I don't love what I'm seeing from this bullpen. They need to address it. Otherwise, that's going to be the difference in making the playoffs or not. Because when I look at this lineup and I see Swanson starting to pick it up a little bit after a slow start, same thing with Bellinger. Morel's real good. Bush is outstanding.
Morel needs to get his head out of his ass. He's
Yeah.
been terrible lately. He's
Yeah,
a strikeout machine. Reminds me of Baez.
but he might have the most pure power in the lineup.
That's fair.
Suzuki's out, but he'll be back. You can always expect like a 10-day stint on the IL for, say, a Suzuki here and there. It's just the type of player he is. But and Yoshida, am I saying his last name right?
The pitcher?
The guy who uses Chelsea Dagger as his walk-up song because he knows it'll make the fans of Chicago happy. Did you hear about this?
No. You're talking about the pitcher.
The pitcher
Shota Imanaga?
Imanaga.
Shota Imanaga.
I was at his first career start. He uses Chelsea Imanaga. He uses Chelsea Dagger as his intro song. And here I'm thinking the Cubs are going to like showcase the Winter Classic a little bit. Like, oh, this is where the Winter Classic is going to be. No, it's just his walk-up song. Hey, Shota, why is it your walk-up song? I went to Blackhawks game and I know it'll make the people of Chicago happy. That was his quote.
Good.
I love the guy.
Yeah.
I love the guy.
He's been great too. He's a lot of fun too.
He's been incredible.
Do you see like after he throws some pitchers, he like does like a dance or something like ooh, like almost got him. Like he's very interactive when he pitches.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love it. I do. I love
100%. I love it too. The Cubs are a good team. They're bullpen though. They need to get it together.
I disagree. It's bad right now, but I don't think over a long period of time it'll be.
It was bad last year with the same names. Alzolay was a little bit better in the ninth last year. But they need to go get a pitcher some way, somehow.
Do you care to comment on this comment?
Yeah. Sox will come back in 5 years. I hope.
Listen, are they mathematically out VP? No.
Yes.
Not necessarily. Like, I don't think they're going to make it. But what if they won like 10 in a row?
No. I'll let you get away with thinking the Cubs bullpen is fine, even though it has like a 17 ERA right now. I'm looking. But like, you're not going to crack the jokes about the Sox coming back and making playoffs. Like,
a lot of baseball to be played.
If they came in fourth place in the division, it would be stunning.
See? She said they still have a chance. VP just doesn't want to break her heart.
Correct.
Long shot.
They would have to win every single game for 2 weeks straight to even be 500. Think about that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're 2-15. So if they won 14 straight games, 2 weeks worth of games, they would be 2 games over. which like wouldn't be a playoff team even. If you're 2 games over at the end of April, you're not in a playoff spot, right?
No.
So we shall see how they end. I think I'm rooting for them to have the worst record of all time.
And they might do that.
Oh, we just got an announcement. Ryan Leonard is returning to Boston College for his sophomore season.
Kind of not surprised.
And he's the most in it. So I would bet my life that Will Smith and Gabe Perreault are also going back to school. There's no way just one of them leaves. I don't see it.
They're
I
still
just
going to
don't see
be they're going to be very dangerous again.
Yes. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more, Frank. Happy Taylor Swift album Eve.
You going to get it?
It's already pre-downloaded.
Are you going to stay up to midnight on April 19th to hear it?
I have to be at work at 5 a.m. on Friday. So no.
So Taylor Swift is not important enough to stay up and miss some sleep.
Well, here's the thing. If it comes out at like 11, because I'll be up, I'm gonna hardly get any sleep that night because the Hawks play the Kings at 9:30, and I have to do it for Hockey Now, Game 82, baby. And I want to see Gauthier make his NHL debut against the Knights at the exact same time. That'll probably be a laptop game, but maybe I will if it comes out early enough. Being an Apple Music guy sucks at the end of the year when everyone's posting their top 5 most listened to artists and all that on social media and stuff. I'm always a little jelly. I'd be like, I like to know what mine is. But the one time it's nice to be an Apple Music guy is the night Taylor Swift releases new albums, because 2 Taylor's version albums and Midnight's were all working perfectly fine for me, but Spotify was down.
It's tough.
It's the superior music streaming service.
I'm pretty sure you could get it on Apple because G did, and we only use Apple Music.
You can get it. That's what I'm saying.
No, the like your most listened to stuff.
Oh yeah, but Spotify does like the whole year end like they tell you everything. Apple does tell you like your top 3 artists or whatever and your top 3 songs or whatever. And I did share that last year at the end of 2023, but like Spotify does like so much cool stuff with that.
You know, there's a song on a new album called
They're already
Fortnite.
pre-downloaded. It's the first song with our guy Post Malone.
Yeah, you know what a fortnight is?
2 weeks.
Yeah. Do you know what's in 2 weeks?
The Kentucky Derby?
Conspiracy, maybe.
Maybe. There are some interesting song titles on this though. I'm excited for this. Are you going to have listened to it by the show?
No.
Why?
I don't want to.
Yeah, it's your homework.
It's
you have to rank. You have to rank the songs by the next show.
It's probably not going to happen.
Well, you need to make it happen. When I write something down on the sheet, you listen. Okay?
Listen,
I'm in charge.
You'll never know for sure if I listen. I'll have a ranking.
Well, you better have a ranking though. I don't care if you just rank them by your favorite song titles. You will have a ranking next show some way, somehow.
Well, we'll see.
All right. You could pick Fortnite to be your number 1 favorite because you like the game Fortnite, even though it's spelled differently.
It might
be spelled differently though.
I know.
But you like Post Malone?
Yeah, I do.
All right. That's how the album kicks off. That's how you know it's going to be dank.
We'll see. It's not likely, but we'll see.
Frank, what are we watching and playing this weekend?
NBA playoffs and the play-in. NHL playoffs. I wish I could say NHL play-in. That'd be fun. Play-in's so exciting. There's also a new...
If there was an NHL play-in, the Devils would have just missed, and I would want to be dead. I already want to be dead. So that
Detroit would have made
would
it,
just
though.
add to it.
That would have been exciting.
Who would have made it?
Detroit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's also a new Fallout show. You know the game Fallout, the video game
Yeah.
Fallout? They made
Yep.
it into
Yep.
a TV show.
Amazon, right?
That I don't know. But I want to watch it. I added it to the list of things I want to watch.
Hell yeah.
Also, it's not really something I'll be playing this week, but I'm playing eventually. Slay the Spire 2 was announced by Megacrit. You probably have no idea what that game is. You've seen me play it though, I think on stream before.
Probably. Man, that was so fun when you used to do that. You're
It's the
tweaking.
card it's the card game.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It's one of the greatest like consensus roguelike games of all time. And they're coming out with a second one. I can't wait. The first one was so good. I shelled out over 200 hours into the game. It keeps track on it's like over 250 hours. I completed, I 100% it. I did everything you can do. I beat everything you had. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. Definitely a top 2 roguelike video game that I've ever played. Like, you don't shell that much time into a game without it being one of your number ones. So I cannot wait. That doesn't come out till like early release doesn't come out till 2025. So we got a long time before that one, but I want 100% Jedi Fallen Order as well. I'm almost done. I'm almost done with that. About
You beat the
70.
story though?
No, but I'm about 70% or more done with it.
Got it.
We're coming to an end.
Very good.
I went 12 rounds with the ninth sister. That was
Love
fun.
that.
That was fun.
Love
It's a lot of
that.
fun. But yeah, that's me. How about you, VP?
You know, just the same old shows. And the Stanley Cup playoffs. I can't wait to see the schedule. Oh, and our next show will be the night before the NFL draft, which I'm very excited about. We'll have a little preview for that next Thursday, or next Wednesday. So I'm not watching that this weekend, but I will be preparing for it. I have my last mock draft for USA Today next Wednesday. I had my second to last go up yesterday or today, excuse me. Today. It went up today. I wrote it yesterday. It goes up today. Went up today. So I encourage people to check that out. I'm gonna play some PS5. I've had my Switch with me for a little bit now. I want to jump back in to Tears of the Kingdom. And yeah, that's it.
You haven't beat Tears yet?
No, it's hard to fully beat it. Like, it's really hard. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I just like playing it. It's soothing.
You could beat
It's a soothing
the main
game to play.
story, though, no?
Yeah. For sure. Which I definitely will. All right, Frank. You know what it's time for?
Shoot.
It's time for America's favorite podcast segment of the week. Breaking Bad.
Where's my money, bitch?
You know, when you first watch Breaking Bad, which you're never gonna watch it, that's fine. You're gonna hear that song, and it's not gonna go "Where's my money, bitch" at the end, and you're gonna be a little let down.
Probably.
That's just something.
I'm also going to only think of this segment when I hear it. I'm not going to think of Breaking Bad.
Wow. Ugh, what a show. Greatest show of all time.
Wow.
Stand by it.
A lot of people think that.
Greatest drama of all time. Like, if you're comparing it to like my love for Big Brother or my love for like Clone Wars or
Yeah.
Bad Batch or, WandaVision, stuff like that, I think it's like comparing apples to oranges. But I think even if I had to include anything that's considered a TV show, I think Breaking Bad would be numero uno.
Wow.
Yep.
Well,
Love breaking
creeping. We're continuing to creep over 50%. It's just gone up and up and up and up and up. There's really been no going back. It's just sizzling, absolutely sizzling. I mean, you look at the record in the NBA, 9-4. The NBA has been cooking, and now it's the play-in. Playoffs should be pretty exciting. So yeah, without further ado, let's kick it off with some NHL action, VP. Perhaps the most entertaining game of the night is definitely going to be between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. For this game, we're going to go with the Toronto Maple Leafs money line, plus 124, 2 units on that one. Neither of these teams have anything to play for. Each of them have already clinched a playoff spot, but the Maple Leafs have one final goal in mind. Let Austin Matthews try and score 70 goals. I don't really think the Lightning are going to be as up for it. Maybe Kucherov trying to get his 100th assist. That's really the only thing they got there. But there's really no need for any of their starters to really go balls to the wall out besides Matthews and Kucherov. If Austin Matthews wants to score 70, he's going to do everything in his power to achieve that. And if Matthews plays like we assume he is and like we confirmed he was earlier, the Maple Leafs is just going to have more drive in their game to get this done. So I think the Maple Leafs win tonight's game. Meaningless game. Could go either way. We'll take the value though on the Leafs. Plus 124, 2 units on that. Also, as a little cider in here I'm going to include, we're also going to take Matthews to score a goal to get number 70 tonight at plus 125 for a unit there. So you could take both those separately. I think he does get 70. And that's what I got for you on hockey. Got to include a play-in game with how hot the NBA has been. The Atlanta Hawks take on the Chicago Bulls. And before I give that pick, shout out to the Sacramento Kings who defeated the Warriors last night in the play-in. They got one more game to win.
My Kings.
Our
Kings.
No, our Kings. They got one more. They got work to do, though. One more to officially get in the postseason as an 8th seed and open up against the Thunder, I believe it would be. I think the Thunder are the number 1 seed because the Lakers got to play the Nuggets in the first round as the 7th seed. So the Thunder is no joke. Be a tough series. But anyway, Atlanta Hawks take on the Chicago Bulls tonight. Win and you're alive. Lose and you're out. I'm going to go with the over 57.5 points for the first quarter. We're going to bet to win 1 unit there. The Atlanta Hawks possess one of the worst defenses in the entire NBA. They give up way, way, way too many points every game. Their last game they played against the Pacers, the Hawks gave up 157 points. They also rank 5th in terms of pace. So when they have the ball, they like to push the ball and try to score as quick as possible on possessions, whereas the Bulls take a much more methodical approach and take their time when they have the ball. But regardless, the Bulls will take advantage of the longer possessions, and the over for the first quarter should clear, which it has in the last 2 games that these two teams have played in. So I like the over here. Hawks don't have a defense, really. I expect a lot of points in this one. So we'll do over for the first quarter. 57.5 at minus 105, bet to win 1 unit, which leads me to the final pick. Got to give it an MLB pick. We only have one in the Breaking Bet segment, and it's 1-0. Looking to make it 2-0. Tonight, we got the Guardians facing off against the Boston Red Sox. I'm going to take the Red Sox money line here at minus 130, bet to win 3 units. Perfect spot for the Red Sox to rebound and stop the little slump that they're in. The Guardians won game 1 of the series 6-0. They won game 2 of the series last night 10-7. And after giving up 16 runs over the past 2 games, it's time for the Red Sox to rebound. Tanner Houck is coming off a horrible start against the Angels, giving up 12 hits, 7 runs, 4 of them being earned. Tanner Houck is not that bad, and he's going to rebound in this game because on the other side of the field, you have Ben Lively, who is yet to pitch this year and has struggled on the mound overall in his MLB career. Lively is also a pitcher that doesn't tend to go deep into games. Get to that bullpen early. I love this spot for the Boston Red Sox at minus 130 for 3 units. Bet to win 3 units.
Very good. Very good betting there, Frank. You're back over 50% after what was just a putrid, horrible, terrible start. You're the Edmonton Oilers of betting.
Yeah, you flip flopped.
I
Flip
did
flopped on
flip-flop.
me. Flip flopped on the Oilers.
But you know what? Once an Oiler, always an Oiler.
You're nuts.
I'm always going to be an Oiler.
And
When they're not playing the Devils or the Bruins, go Oilers.
you're banned.
I love the Oil. I can't wait to watch them steamroll their way to the Western Conference Finals once again. Let's go Oilers.
You're crazy.
Hey, maybe. Maybe I'm not crazy. I'm just a little unwell. It's
Get out.
possible. It's possible. All right, Frank. What a little show we had there. Talking about some college hockey. We learned that Boston College Eagles are apparently going to return most of their guys. Leonard is going back for sure, so we'll learn about Will Smith and Gabe Perreault, I'm sure, soon enough. We'll talk about it on this show. Anything that happens with those teams, I'm talking about. I'll tell you that much for free. By our next show, a couple series, every series will at least be 2 games in, which is very, very exciting thing to know. Very much looking forward to it. Good luck to the Boston Bruins and Edmonton Oilers in the postseason. Those are the 2 teams, if I got to choose who were in the Stanley Cup final, that's what it would be. And, you know, I'll miss those damn Devils. I already do. Like you
I know
said,
the feeling.
Devils forever.
Yep.
And, you know, Blackhawks too. We have one more for them, so they're not fully out of my system yet. I'm excited to watch them play the Kings. But
Big game for the Kings.
huge, and it'll be going on at the same time as the Golden Knights.
Yep.
You better believe they'll be scoreboard watching. Because I don't know who I'd rather play. You're either getting the Dallas Stars, who, in a lot of people's opinion, are the deepest team in the Western Conference, or you got Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid coming your way. I know there's a chance it's Vancouver. I just don't think it will be. But yeah, that's crazy.
It is crazy, to be honest with you. It's like pick your poison.
Sure is. Well, Frank, great show. Good show. Excited to see you. Excited for our next show to start breaking down what's going on in the postseason and
Absolutely.
continue talking about how shitty our baseball situations are. No more college hockey, though. But we will move into prospects. The draft is coming along soon enough. I believe the lottery is May 8th.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering that.
The date is out there. I was locked in because of the Hawks. The Devils are participating in it. So
They have a chance.
I think it's, as of right now, a 3% chance, but it could be a 6% chance by Friday.
Hey, all you need is 1 row of numbers.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That is the truth. As of right now, they have the 10th best odds. They have the 10th best odds, 3.5%.
It's better than 0. It gives them a chance.
Calgary and Seattle cannot catch them anymore. Tankathon does have a little dot next to every team whose lottery position is clinched. And the Devils have the dot. So.
I'm sorry, VP.
Not the worst odds of every team that could get the first pick, though. They have 3.5% chance. So.
Is that the Devils' only pick? Yeah, it is in the first round, right?
Yeah, the pick definitely, it would have went to San Jose if in the Timo Meier trade if they made it to the conference finals, but they ain't going to no conference finals, so it gets to be their pick.
Well, they'll get going as a fan, maybe. Was that in the
maybe.
contract?
Who on the Devils would attend a conference final game?
Quinn Hughes.
I was gonna say Jack and Luke would absolutely go if.
That's what I'm saying. So they will maybe be at a conference final game.
It wouldn't shock me if they're in Vancouver right now, getting ready to take in the first round. Because Quinn was at every game with Zegras last year.
Yeah, I'm not
the Rangers.
surprised. I'm not surprised.
So, yeah, we shall see. All right, Frank. Good shit. Good shit. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for everybody for watching. If you're just tuning in now, you could catch the rest of the show on YouTube, on Spotify, on Twitch, on Apple, everywhere you can find a podcast. Make sure you tune into the rest of the shows at the Bar Room Network. I'll be back on South Burbs Hitman on Monday. Frank and I will be back on Bardown Talking Hockey 1 week from today. It's the playoffs, baby. Best time of year. It's everybody's hockey Christmas. And Frank, no matter what, as always, thank you for listening.